hear me out. Listen, so we ended up splitting this whole thing into 2 parts. So the images that we mentioned that we'd put up in this episode, we're just gonna add some water. That's better. That's much better. We just decided it was gonna be a lot easier if we put them in the second episode because we talked about them again. You know, it's just gonna be better for everybody if we don't have to go over it twice. So it's cool. It all worked out great. It's gonna be fine. Just don't even worry about it. Have a nice day.
Angel, real quick for me, can you spell the word deep?
D?
D's nuts?
Angel.
Hey, with that, welcome back to this episode of Just a Podcast. I am the proprietor of said laptop that records said podcast. I'm Kyle.
I was going to spell D's.
Would you still like to spell it?
I was early!
Today we have with us Ryan.
Hey.
We have Angel.
D's?
We have Connor.
Connor.
What's up? I get my own intro music.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's not ego at all.
Respect the drip, Ryan.
I don't have a choice.
So today's episode is going to be a little different. We don't have a subject like we didn't have. Well, okay, we do, but we didn't plan out like, oh, okay, so I'm going to talk about this, and let's talk about video games. We are going to do the.
Wait, we've never done that. We've never done that.
Well, I have, but not with other people.
You weren't cool enough for that one.
Ooh.
I guess not.
Spicy.
Now I'm going to make my own podcast.
Called the like way better than just a Kyle podcast.
I would like to be
What's
guest
the third
number
letter
1.
in podcast?
Please no.
Is it bad that I don't know off the top of my head?
You can't. Are you joking? Here,
What's the third letter in
sound it
podcast?
out. P.
Oh. I got it.
Say it.
C.
C's nuts?
You couldn't even get the right letter, but you got the joke in anyway.
So we have wrapped up for now our Zelda-themed tabletop campaign, and we're going to be doing a campaign wrap-up podcast where we're going to go around and talk about just kind of how. Well, first I'll give some background on what it was and what happened, and I will also answer the guys' questions about things that we left unanswered or plot points that we never talked about, and also kind of what's going to be going on in the future. So let's get right into the rolling by rolling for pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
Connor has received a 12.
Go.
Angel has received a 5. Ryan has received an 18. And I have received a 16.
Good stuff.
All right.
Great.
So
That's mine.
the campaign was called Sacred Force, and going into this, it was Legend of Zelda themed, but it was very much homebrewed here and back. So what a lot of people understand about Zelda was very different in this, and I've gone on record talking about how I'm not a fan of like a very specific Zelda mod, and I basically wanted to create a version like my own. It started out by me wanting to create my own like Zelda fan continuity, but by making it as like fun and adventurous as possible, and it developed into a short story, which then developed into a tabletop role-playing game, which I introduced to Angel, Connor, and Ryan. And they said, yeah, you know, they had never played a tabletop game before. Angel and I had some experience, and they were very gracious to just get right into it. And well, I'll let you guys introduce like the characters you played as, and then I'll explain what happened from there.
You should start. You had the most.
Yeah, he only had like 10,000.
For those of you who don't know how tabletop games work, is I was the dungeon master or game master or board master, whatever.
Daddy
Basically,
DM Kyle.
yeah, I narrated everything.
What was that?
He's Daddy DM Kyle.
Yeah, be
It's his
proud. Be
official
proud
title.
when you say it. Daddy DM Kyle. So.
They would just send me that randomly. I did not agree to that, but
Yes,
It's his official
you did.
title.
yeah, but I signed a binding contract.
You signed
Please
off.
address all checks to Daddy DM Kyle.
Ooh.
My Patreon is www.daddydm.kyle/patreon.uk.
Yeah, we bought a
The assumption that
.kyle.
like Daddy DM Kyle was taken, so you had to go .kyle.
Yeah.
All on the GoDaddy.com domain.
I had to narrate what was happening, describe all the places, and voice all of the other characters they ran into. But I will say we opened up on the small Koholint, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, the island from Link's Awakening, and we opened up with Angel.
I don't.
No, we
No,
don't.
we started. We started
We
with
opened up
the 3D.
We started with
Me
Ryan's
with Ryan,
character.
yeah.
So Ryan, if you want to describe who your character was.
Right. What was my first original name?
Uh,
Oh, no. Because I was Big Al, but not before Big Al. Alfred.
Yeah,
I was Alfred. Dr. Alfred.
Dr. Alfred O'Neill.
And I was supposed to be, yes, Dr. Alfred O'Neill, and I was a monk.
Did have a last name. I forgot about that.
Yeah. O'Neill's just implied, just like all Alfreds.
Baby Shack.
Look, in context, again, I've explained to these guys, doing a tabletop game, it's like going to preschool for your first day. I was a toddler, and like I had no idea what we're doing or how to do it. So like I was very much a toddler in this whole process. But I became a monk, had this character named Alfred O'Neill, and I don't know how you want to explain the Holy Hand Grenade, but I had a really weird off-base religion that revolved around the Holy Hand Grenade, which is not related to Monty Python and the Holy Grail by any means for this tabletop game purpose.
I'll go into
Worried
that
about
once
copyright.
Yeah.
I'll go into that once everyone introduces themselves. I'll
But
go
I
through
was a
what
monk.
happened.
I was a religious monk.
I almost forgot that was a thing that happened.
So
Yeah.
I actually, first off, I do need to say that Ryan and I had very different ideas as to what a monk was going into this. So when I say monk, I neglected to actually even give these guys a class list because I didn't create a class system for this. Because again, a lot of this was thrown together. And as
This was your first
yeah, it was my first
full
time.
length tabletop game.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of it, which as we get further into this, will come to light what I did have to just make up on the spot. But so Ryan said, yeah, when he heard monk, he heard like Friar Tuck,
Yep.
where like the religious robes,
Yep.
whatever. I heard like
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was hearing like kung fu, like Shaolin monk,
Oh, yeah, no.
like martial artist, which because like Ryan has experience in martial
I mean, yeah,
arts.
obviously, yes.
So
but,
my first thought was like, oh, okay, Ryan's gonna want to play a monk.
Yeah, I missed the bar badly.
So I told him all the abilities he had, and he goes like, "But I just pray and I carry around my holy texts." And I was like, "Oh, So as time went on,
I think in tabletop world, wouldn't that be more of a cleric, or am I off?
No,
mean,
you're right.
yeah, it would
Traditionally, a cleric is the more. They're religious monks that have. If I remember correctly, the original reason they don't use swords and they have hammers and maces is swords are meant to kill, whereas maces and hammers can be a tool.
Gotcha.
So they use it as a weapon.
Tool bags.
It defeats the whole purpose of not having a weapon.
I know, but it was.
Yeah.
I think they got rid of it. Now they're just
Gotcha.
like, we could use weapons. Okay, Angel. Or I'm sorry, Ryan. Were you done?
Well, no, yeah, that's the basis of my character. And then I met Connor's character.
Oh, okay.
Because literally Connor's character was like in a pile of mud.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good transmission if we want to get into mine. Basically, when you need to think of my character, his name was Nigel Stabsbury, an Australian pirate. So when you think of my character, I just want this to be on the forefront of your mind. Just at all times.
yeah, not copyrighted at all.
I also had music cued for like every session we did. So like we
literally
had theme
every
music and
single
boss battle
session.
music.
Yeah.
We opened every recap with the Agni Kai theme from Avatar.
And we call
It's
ourselves
just
the
glorious.
Golden
I don't
Girls.
have that
Yeah.
one cued right now, but it is glorious.
We were the Golden Girls.
Yeah, and then I just joked. I said like last time on the Golden Girls just as a joke, and it stuck. And then every time we ended, I say next time on DuckTales.
Yeah, so Nigel was a pirate from the continent of Termina. Now, keep in mind another thing with this campaign Kyle kind of touched on is like a good way to look at it is every Zelda game that's come out has been a little bit different, and the land has been a little different, the map has been a little different, and like so this is like in the Zelda universe, but a different take on all of those locations that we know of. Like the fact that we woke up on Koholint but could travel away from it to other places, like Koholint and Link's Awakening, you can't do that. So there's stuff like that going on. But I was a pirate. I was there abandoned by my crew that had turned on me. A dude named Zachariah, who's just a real beta, just not a real bottom guy. But yeah, Nigel's catchphrase was "anything can be stabbed if you try hard enough."
great.
He became a pirate because his parents died when he was very young on a farm, and he never figured out why. Got tied up with pirates. Eventually reunited with his childhood crush at one point. He also could use magic, but wasn't a big fan of magic, which was an interesting, I think, character development for him as he was navigating a world where a lot of really crazy stuff was happening really fast. He kind of lost his mind a little bit, which is how we ended up where we were, I think. Because I had my own boat and stuff, and so he's a pirate captain. So kind of had this whole crew, and so he's like spearheading this nonsensical journey into stuff that he doesn't understand.
90% of that crew was fully magic based.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think at the
Overpowered.
end, only like 3 of you couldn't use any form of magic. That leads us to the Magic Man himself.
Oh yeah. Speaking of clerics, so I played a character named Sven. He was a Anuki, but not the Anuki that you might know, but probably don't know, because I didn't know what they were before looking at the race list. He was, as he was affectionately referred to, Deerbra.
A moose
Or-
man,
or
if you
seven.
Or
will.
Moose Man, or Seven.
The moose
yeah.
man cometh.
Basically, he was about like 7 or 8 feet tall, big moose antlers, older looking guy, soft spoken, really nice guy. Think of like your grandpa, if you have a nice grandpa, I guess. Sorry,
Oh, wow.
Chris.
Poor Chris.
I don't know Chris's grandparents.
None of
at
us
all.
ever will.
Okay, Chris might not
Neither
either.
does Chris. Yeah. Dang it! You
I still don't know Chris.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's weird.
Mm,
Anyway,
Chris, if you're out there, I will find you, and I will hug you.
yeah. Oh, Chris, now this is a test. If you're actually listening, and if you are a true friend, you will reply. There you go. I'm waiting. 7 days.
7 days. There we go. Yeah, this will be a long one. It'll probably take him 7 days to get even to this point.
You act like
anyway.
he watches my podcasts.
Well, no one watches. Everyone listens.
But,
you know
but
what
the
I
thing
mean.
is you have to ask him if you did, and then you'll know.
Anyway, so Sven was a healer, cleric. He's like a cleric, but without a weapon. He just had a staff. But a really good unarmed stat.
Because you're 7 foot tall and covered in muscle.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. He was a softie, though, despite being rock hard. He, I don't know, he's just a nice grandpa figure who he was a wood carver. Simple guy, really. Wanted, wow, when I say what he wanted, it's not going to be very simple, is it? He wanted the Dominion rod.
Well, okay, you go ahead and I'll get into that later. Keep going.
All right. Basically, yeah, big Anuki deer guy, wood carver, healer, could lift a boat above his head, and and could control the wind. That's right,
Very good at controlling
and had
the wind.
very advanced ice magic.
Which all of that was kind of one factor in how we became so ridiculously overpowered at one point.
Yep.
Like, it was, we had a pirate ship, a couple characters that could control wind, and
Divine
also
intervention.
permafrosted the whole of the ship, and so
Oh,
there-
yeah, so nothing
there was
could
a lot
hurt you
going
guys.
on. Yeah,
Basically
Past
indestructible.
prayer, like,
we had
Prayer
a
was
healer with
broken.
us. Yeah, we rolled a couple 20s on some prayers, and God shows up and chases off a dragon.
our homie
That was
in the
good
sky was a big help.
Is that all you want to say
That's
about
all
it?
I got.
All right. So the campaign opened with basically Alfred waking up in the middle of a field on Koholet Island, and walking around for a little bit until stumbling into a swamp where he met Nigel. The two just woke up and just kind of did basically they did the whole we kind of have a reason to adventure together, so we're gonna adventure together.
Yeah.
Which is what you need to do when you make characters anyway. But the guys were into it, so they and that was the hardest thing I had to do. I feel the hardest thing is starting a campaign, not so much getting it going. Is just trying to get the guys to communicate in character why they'd want to adventure together, just for the sake of them enjoying it. Because if you just started and said, okay, yeah, we're all together, we don't need to explain why, that would have been fine with me, because it basically is however much I just wanted the guys to have fun, and evidently they did. But we then panned over to Angel's character Sven, who was on a mountain meditating, and after rolling for. No, I think you actually casted prayer to find guidance.
Just then?
Yeah.
No, I think I walked into town. I was gonna leave.
That's true but you did have enough magical knowledge to understand like, okay, there's an item you need that you had heard about to create. And as far he had just told us at that point, oh, I want to make a golem. He didn't say why. He's just like, I think I just want to have a character that makes a golem.
Mm-hmm.
So he figured out like, okay, well, I need an item that could do that. So that was his goal.
To be fully honest, I had just rewatched the movie Warcraft, and my favorite part of that movie is when I forgot everyone's name except for Medivh. One character goes up to a tower, and then another character named Medivh is sitting there sculpting with some clay. I say some clay. The clay was like 10 feet tall and shaped like a golem. And the one character goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm making a golem." And I don't know why, but just that's my favorite line in the entire movie.
Oh.
But anyway, I decided, I was like, all right, well, Sven wants to make a golem. That's just what he wants to do. I completely forgotten the existence of the Dominion Rod.
It was funny that quickly evolved into, I need the Dominion Rod to animate this golem. And then as we went on, he kind of came up with some backstory and as to why he needed that said golem, which developed into the first arc of the story. So they all met up by chance in town because they just decided, Nigel's like, well, I want some milk. And
That's right.
for those of you who are longtime Zelda fans, you know that like milk is like just like the staple drink of the series.
Yum yum.
There's no alcohol in the Zelda universe. There's just milk.
Spoiler.
So Nigel was a milk swigging pirate.
Which kind of has like different effects from game to game. Sometimes it is like kind of like this the quote unquote alcohol of the series. Other times people just really like milk. I kind of took that middle road with this because I was like, I know RPG players love to just get smashed in bars. But at the same time, I was like, I don't
Looking
want
at
to
you, Ben.
Yeah, I'd be Ben.
And the selfish part of me was just like, I don't want to narrate 3-hour-long tavern sessions, so I'm just going to say, like, yeah, you guys look, there's milk. And some of it, like, Chateau Romani is just, like, really good milk. So
It's not wine, it's milk.
yeah, because that was honestly just, like, my own, like, I'm not going to want to deal with this down the line. Because I don't want to have to babysit a bunch of, like, quote-unquote drunk characters.
Yeah, Ben ruined that for everyone.
So...
Ben's going to see this and be like, wait, that's all my characters. And then he's going to think we hate him.
Right?
I mean, kind of, but not really.
Ben, you do it well and we love you.
Maybe, sometimes.
Ben played a couple NPC for us.
Ben
Yeah,
actually
he
was
did.
a character, so
Which-
we didn't mention that, but Ben actually played.
Yeah, he did. Later on, he did.
Yeah.
That's why he's not here.
Basically, the long and short of it is...
What a drunk.
the big things were that they met up in the main town on Koholett Island, found Sven's little pond skimming, but not pond skimming. Sorry, it was just like
It was a long ship.
Yeah, it was a long ship.
Well, it was like a long canoe.
Yeah.
Wow, so many. I need to stop it. Another movie reference. Sorry. Think of the boat that Bard had in The Hobbit.
Oh, like that. Okay.
Yeah, he had a boat like that.
So it was a small,
Just a long canoe.
small for him, but big enough to fit like average-sized humans.
Yeah.
And with the sail on it, and they sailed to the mainland of Hyrule, which was called the continent of Loftan, and they ended up in the snowy province of Hebra, and had to hike all the way across the latitude of the continent to
Snowfields.
Lanayru.
That's where we got our first combat encounter.
Yeah, actually, you guys
Oh,
did.
yeah, that's
the,
right.
the first of what started out as very few combat encounters.
Yeah, we really didn't fight a lot.
You were attacked
for
by
the first-
wolfos.
It's mostly boss fights that we ended up in. Like, accidentally. I felt like those speedrunners in Breath of the Wild who just, like, skipped to Ganon. I felt like we were doing that over and over again. It's like, here's all these fights to level up, but here's the dragon. Like,
All the time.
I think when you figured out how fast you can move, that's what it became.
Yeah.
I did miss a part though. You guys went to Hyrule Castle first because Sven's
Oh,
like, well,
yeah.
I need to speak to a wizard.
That's right.
And Big Al was like, well, it's not, you weren't Big Al yet.
I wasn't Big Al yet. I'm still
Small
Alfred.
Dr. Alfred.
Dr.
Dr.
Alfred.
Alfred wanted to know about the Holy Hand Grenade and bring people to his
To
his
my
religion.
religion/cult.
Um,
Also, I used to say you are loved.
yeah.
Like every 5 minutes.
that's explosive.
It quickly became
Oh.
like this running joke / actual character concept that Dr. Alfred was clearly not all there.
I'm one of those crazy psycho cult people you would see on the street. Like, join my cause.
But he also had really good combat stats, so they kept him.
So take that, world.
punched a wolf to death.
I did punch a wolf with my bare
He
hands.
Falcon punched a wolf in the face, like
And it just died.
Yeah.
next level.
They made it to Hyrule Castle, where they were able to speak with the head librarian of the archives, who directed them to a section where they met this younger-looking dude named Matthias. Who,
Actually, only Sven met Matthias at
that's
that
right.
point.
Sorry, everyone else was just kind of looking around.
Right.
Nigel was like, "Well, I'm going to look for milk. I don't need to be in the library." Books
No,
What'd
well,
you
I
do?
did
Yeah.
that first. It was I ended up trying to figure out. I was asking around about Lanayru docks.
Oh, okay.
Like I was
That's
trying to find
right.
my ship because we didn't have my ship at the time. Mine was
That's
still. It had been stolen by my mutinous crew,
yeah.
and so I ended up getting the name Lorum, who was a guy who would recognize Nigel later on because Nigel was a pirate, had been all over the place.
Yeah, and that was the biggest dock on Loftan. That was the
Right.
biggest trade port. So they're like, well, I would try there. So he just kind of waited around while the guys did their business. And Sven ran into Matthias, which was just a young mage who had his own laboratory that he was studying stuff in the Hyrule Castle because of its resources. And that's just where he ended up. So I actually introduced Matthias because, one, they didn't really have any solid magic users with them, which not that they needed it, but it might have come in handy as they came into more encounters, which I was quick to find out they weren't going to be very many encounters. Not that I was upset about that, because I didn't want them to die.
Well, I almost died.
We're speedrunners at heart.
Yeah.
It must be.
And also, I was just like, well, I think they're going to need someone to get them through what I have planned if they find the Dominion Rod, which I had actually planned out several scenarios, but they were only going to happen if certain conditions were met. So, for instance, they unlocked the scenario they ended up in by getting the Dominion Rod, and I'll go into what happened next a little later. But basically, Matthias says, hey, I can teleport you guys actually out to the Lanayru Mountains, which is pretty close to the docks. And they're like, oh, okay. So they teleport out there. They spoke with Lorum, who was a Zora. And he said, oh, yeah, I remember you guys coming in. I remember you as a kid, Nigel. It's been a while. Here's what happened to Zachariah. He was injured. He's probably healing in Zora's domain or somewhere near there. And he goes, okay, well, is my ship here? And he goes, yeah, it's over there. It's been here for a while. They just took another one and yeeted out of here. So they get on the boat. And Nigel just kind of slips right back into his old pirate life, and just all right, I got my ship back. I want revenge, but let's go get that staff for Sven. And you guys headed straight to that part of the world, to the Phantom Sea.
Yeah, because Nigel had spent a lot of time, there's a whole backstory to Nigel that I kind of came up with a little bit on the go, a little bit ahead of time, but the Phantom Islands and the Phantom Sea out there was where, pirates would go looting and looking in old ancient ruins and stuff, so Nigel was very familiar. And what's funny enough, as traveled as Nigel was, he was still uncomfortable with, super magical stuff. So I think I called it the Dominion Stick and the Magic Rod a few times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just being in character, you need some stupid magic stick.
A magic thinking stick.
Yeah, he would do the talking when I go at ports and stuff. Be like, yeah, we're just looking for a magic stick, no big deal. And then Matthias would be like, Captain, I don't think we should be saying that in pirate seas.
Yeah.
Magic stick.
And they stop at the first island, which was Zhao's, which was named after the character Zhao's from, I want to say, Phantom Hourglass. And I think I've thrown the map up. If I haven't, I will throw up the maps of places they ended up.
Oh, not that kind of throw up.
No, just there's a piece of paper
I
there.
wasn't sure what you did right then.
So they went to... they stopped there, and they stopped at the restaurant Danny's, and met...
Damn.
Welcome to Danny.
Yeah,
With a big A.
met Danny and Rocco. Danny, who they actually never found out was a Zuna, which the Zuna race is... In this continuity, they're basically just the male equivalent of the Gerudo, or Gerudo, however you say that. They are a race of they're a desert-dwelling race that live in the Nabori province outside of Gerudo Town, Gerudo City, whatever. They are expert weapons craftsmen and pretty good fighters too. But nobody really knew that. They just kind of know oh, he runs the restaurant here. And he had his buddy Rocco, who was a snowhead Goron. And the difference between regular Gorons are just kind of big and brown, and snowhead Gorons are more charcoal colored. and they live in like icy places. I think that that was only like the real main difference. But they ran Rocco cooked, Danny kind of ran the place, and he said like, oh, you're looking for this. He gave them information based on like the last time Zachariah was around, and that treasure hunter. No, actually, they didn't find out about the treasure hunters. Sven found out about the treasure hunters. So while they ate, Sven went to the lighthouse and met Simon and his father Bjorn, and they discovered that a lot of people constantly go over looking for treasure in those islands of the Phantom Sea, because only a few islands in the Phantom Sea are actually inhabited, such as Zhao's, Fang Island, and the two continents, Tullamac and Gamelon? Yeah.
I'm looking at the map here.
Oh,
It
thank
looks
you.
like Gamelon.
Yeah, and Gamelon, which you guys never went to, and I'm really glad you never went to, because,
More boss fights?
yeah, we'll get into that.
Ooh.
That's right. There are a lot of places we just didn't go to.
Which is good.
We didn't explore a lot.
guess.
You guys, you went a lot of places, but you only went to like very specific places out of necessity.
Yeah.
And
We
so
didn't do a lot of. We never did a filler arc.
yeah.
No.
While discussing, basically Sven got to know Simon and Bjorn, and
I love Simon. Simon's like
Yeah,
second son.
Simon's like a little. He's like a little.
I say
6-year-old.
second. Sven doesn't have a son.
Right.
His golem is his first son.
Right. There we go.
Simon's this little 6-year-old kid who's just like really adventurous, always wants to explore. He's like, "Oh, can I touch your antlers?" And Sven, being
Oh,
just like
sweet.
just a gentle old man, is like, "Yeah, sure." You know.
Which Simon was actually an interesting plot twist towards the end that
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
not
that was
expecting.
weird.
Simon gave Sven a box of crystals,
Yep.
Right.
and Angel. And actually, nobody ever figured out what those did.
No.
Nope.
I just had him.
That and the mirror shard we never solved.
That
Which-
actually
True.
was a question of mine.
Which again, I will. Answer.
I'm getting ahead of it.
No,
yeah.
it's fine. As soon as I will answer all these questions as soon as I get through this. I just want to get through what happened, so they have a.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
when you
Go.
ask questions, people know what they're asking.
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So you get the magic box of crystals, and they get directions as to where they need to go. But
Yeah. Simon had seen ships going towards one very specific island.
yeah, and because they're a lighthouse, they see that.
Yeah.
They're up pretty much all hours of the day,
Mhm.
just seeing who comes and goes and making sure no one crashes into the island, basically. So Fang Island is kind of like Singapore. It is just this big jungle, tropical area, but there's a lot of floating docks around it, which is the market where a lot of pirates and black market deals go. Nigel's very familiar with this, so they stop there to stock up on supplies like cannons, rations. He bought Matthias his first knife, and just by wheeling and dealing, the Tokay merchants, which are these lizard gecko people, just gave him a gun, which
That's right.
because he was like, look, we can't sell it. It doesn't do anything. I think it's just an antique. You look magical. Take this stupid thing.
And I'm pretty sure I was like trying to haggle for a price, and
Yeah.
so they were just like, "Here, we'll give you this."
Yeah. Which those two were actually named D's and Nats. So- I'm not even kidding. When you guys said like, "Hey, can we meet a character named D's?" I was more than happy to
no.
oblige. So
I completely forgot about that.
as they were,
I try not to remember.
they ended up sailing for Stoneheart Island, which was they realized this is the target. This is where everybody goes, but no one's found anything that's kind of suspicious. This place is known for treasure. So they go to the island, and overnight, Sven wakes up and he sees that Matthias is got like this glowing tattoo on his arm, and he's like tinkering with the gun he just got.
That's right. I rolled like a perfect perception.
Yeah, and
I remember the look on your face when I did that.
yeah, and
Very cranky DM.
Sven just decides to hold on to that.
Yeah.
He's like,
I
mean,
didn't
it's
say.
not
I didn't.
important.
I didn't. What's the word? Wow. What is the word I'm looking for?
You didn't pursue that any further.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him.
Yeah, you didn't confront him with it.
Confront. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't talk to Matthias at all. I just went back to bed.
So the next day, after I think it was like a 2-day sail, they get to Stoneheart Island, and they solve like a quick color magic puzzle, and
Yeah, that was fun.
they open up the staircase down to what looks to be like catacombs or just a secret vault.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're going down there, Sven lags behind with Matthias, and he just asks him like, "Can you explain? Like, I saw you messing with the gun. I saw you got like some glowing tattoos. Can you just tell me what that's about?" So we revealed that Sven is actually a member of the Lacomo race, which is
Matthias. Or
Matthias.
Matthias.
Yeah.
You said Sven.
Sven. I'm sorry. Sven asks Matthias, "Tell me about your tattoos." Matthias says, "Okay, these are magic tattoos. I'm a Lacomo. I'm trying to save. We used to use the Dominion rods as our source of power, but after this ancient war, we don't have them anymore. To make a long story short, he just needs some power from the Dominion rod. So he's like, Sven, you can use it for whatever you need.
That's
to.
right. And he had
Yeah.
he had showed us that he had the ability to duplicate things by
Yeah.
duplicating our gunpowder and rations.
Yeah, which and he was really good with machines,
Mm-hmm.
and
By fixing the gun.
yeah, by fixing up the gun and making it have magical properties. So not only was he magical, he's good with machines, which is just like a weird, was just a lucky coincidence for him being a Lacomo.
Yep.
So they solve the puzzle. They open up in this massive vault.
Well, before that,
What?
our good buddy Alfred has a
Oh yeah,
shocking
Revelation.
seizure.
yeah. He has like a
I have a soap opera moment.
yeah. Dr. Alfred had a revelation, which
Yes.
he started having more and more as you guys came into contact with more magical items. Dr. Alfred realized that he might not actually be Dr. Alfred. He might have been someone else at some point.
Oh snap!
And he has like a crisis of faith with his with the holy hand grenade. And they say, okay, well, we're gonna figure that out as soon as we get this Dominion rod situation figured out. So they find the Dominion rod, but in the process, they wake up a horde of just giant statues in Armos.
Mm-hmm. Pretty funny interaction we had with the Dominion rod, actually.
Yeah,
Because at first, everyone's like, we don't want to touch it, because it's at like the very center of this big room that just has a bunch of unawakened statues like circling it. So no one wanted to touch it. And I think Sven eventually did go and grab it. And then like all the statues lit up. I initially thought it was going to be a trap. Turns out it was just like a display of
they were responding to your magic.
magical prowess.
One note on that with Nigel. So not only was I like, the way Kyle described this room is I got like Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time like vibe. Like I felt like we were gonna die. Everything starts glowing. I think we're gonna die. Nigel thinks we're gonna die. So I'm just having like a double level panic attack while this is happening. And it ended up being like, oh no, we control this. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you like a glimpse into like Nigel's progressive panic as it evolves throughout this campaign. Like
that was the first of many instances to where Nigel and Connor were both like, "What?"
we're like session 2 or 3 at this point, and Nigel's already having panic attacks. Like
We're
on the
gonna
daily.
die.
Yeah, we had a nice little handoff of the Dominion rod, and it showed everyone's magical abilities.
Yep.
Matthias like shot through the roof or something
Yeah.
like that.
Wait a minute, was it on the way here that our first encounter with Nadra, or was that?
Yeah, I forgot about
Oh,
no.
You're right. That was
Was it?
I forgot.
It was in the Phantom Sea. It was. It was on the way to
Yeah.
Zhao's.
yeah, it was.
So
Wow.
right before you guys reached Zhao's.
That's a
What did
big-
I
Just
roll
a
a
minor
3?
detail.
Yeah, you guys.
That's a big thing to
Just a
overlook.
minor
Actually,
detail.
I rolled it, so I had to roll combat encounters
That's right.
for like random, not random encounters, but just like what you guys run into.
That's technically random.
It's I rolled what's called the event dice.
Yeah.
And I rolled a 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Which means bad stuff.
Yeah, bad
Dun,
bad
dun,
juju.
dun.
So as they're sailing, the sea kind of rises, and they see like this jellyfish bioluminescent glow, and they're like, "Oh, that could like, what's that about?" And they come out. The thing comes out of the water, and it's a giant dragon, which is Nadra, the water guardian. And everyone's like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like,
That was pretty early on
The
too.
Yeah.
dragon? Session
Yeah.
2 dragon?
Yeah.
Or
Like,
3?
Okay.
so Sven goes, "I'm gonna pray."
Yeah.
So he casts prayer,
Cast.
and he rolls a natural 20.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
It was awesome.
And
On top of whatever his healing
yeah,
stat was.
on top,
Right.
on top of his multipliers,
It's
and he basically like the sky opens up, and the boss Blazetta, who I made to be the patron guardian of the Anuki tribe, comes down and just like starts blasting ice at Nadra, and they're like, "All right, let's get out of here."
Yeah, and we just lead out of there.
So they sailed out of there. I'm surprised they forgot that. I thought that was later. They got away. So after getting the Dominion rod, they finally go back to. They make one last stop, stock up, and then they hoof it back to Sven's boat.
Oh, not quite.
No, where did you guys go before that?
We
After-
meet a nice little friend.
Yes.
After we
Yeah.
come up from
Yes.
getting the Dominion rod.
A friend with weak wrists.
I didn't.
Really, really weak
I
wrist.
didn't bring my notes.
Going
so-
into this, just picture Count Dooku. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
yes.
Oh man.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Take it
So-
away.
So Nigel's freaking out, right? So we encounter a dragon, freaking out. He prays it away, and Ice God shows up and yeets us into the Phantom Sea, freaking out. We go into the Dominion Rod chamber, all the magic, glowy, spooky vibes, and all the magical stuff. Nigel's still freaking out. Still knows somebody, his mutinous crew and right-hand man Zechariah is out there to kill him. We come up from getting the Dominion Rod, and there's another pirate ship approaching our boat, firing cannons with Zechariah in an absolute roid rage, just screaming, "I'm gonna sink that boat!"
Yeah. He was very much like what's his face from Red Dead Redemption, the
main bad guy. What are we talking about?
I don't remember his name, but he's the one who's like anthropology.
Well,
that guy.
Yeah, that's great.
He's got like a really raspy voice. He goes out there and he's like, "Nigel, boy, I will sink that boat if it's the last thing I do."
Yeah.
So in response, we sunk his boat.
Oh yeah. And so he falls out into the ocean, swims back up, pulls out this Zora greatsword, and he's like, "I'm gonna smoke you down!" And he takes one swing, and Nigel cuts his arms off.
Well, so he drew a Zora greatsword. Nigel was kind of a weapon lord kind of character, I think.
Yeah,
I forget the D&D translation, but basically I could have a lot of weapons on me at all times.
I don't actually think that ability exists.
It is not a D&D
maybe not.
thing.
Okay.
It was just a Zelda thing.
I was full disclaimer. I was also a rookie to tabletop coming into this, but
which actually made it more fun for me. Then I could just totally do whatever I wanted.
Baby rookies.
Anyway, so I could have a bunch of weapons on me at one time. I just couldn't be using them all at once necessarily. I had to I got that ability later.
Yeah.
At this time, I could only use one at a time. So I drew a Great Thunderblade from Breath of the Wild. I had one of those on me. And, he makes that swing, and I rolled a good
You rolled really high.
You attempted to, disarm him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he swung and missed, and I attempted disarm.
By using the lightning to,
and you quite literally disarmed him.
Yeah.
Count Dooku'd his arms off. And
his hands off.
His hands off, yeah. And so he's freaking out and dying, and then...
But because it was an attack, his turn was over.
Yep.
So Sven is currently sinking Zechariah's
That was probably my
ship.
least favorite part. Yeah. I don't know why. It was bad juju.
Sven's out there sinking the ship, and all of a sudden you hear a gunshot, and Matthias had just capped Zechariah right then and there. And they're like, "Matthias, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, he was attacking us. What you want me to do?"
And I think Nigel high-fived Matthias because at this point I didn't know Matthias was like this Locomo magical dude, so I'd just been like, okay, here's my little lackey. I'm going to train him to be a pirate. And so I was like, attaboy.
Yep.
So as they're leaving, Sven just randomly gets like a vision.
That's right.
And they see like dark clouds on the horizon.
Yeah, because Sven's holding the Dominion Rod at this point.
So Sven can actually see the Armos army and what they're doing, and he finds out that there's like now this giant black stone platform in the Eastern Sea.
Did we mention that the Armos army rose?
Yeah.
That was the statues in the chamber, the spooky chamber.
Yeah, those were all like Armos statues.
Yeah.
That ranged from like human size to gargantuan.
Right.
And
they all just climb out of the
they all just climbed out of the island, and that event woke up the Phantoms, which was the event that caused the Locomo to lose all their power, and why Matthias was seeking for more to like kind of help save the place. So that battle was actually currently happening for a long time.
Yeah, we just like kind of
It was like watching two football teams tackle each other over and over again throughout the course of the campaign until they finally addressed it.
Yeah, because it was pretty evenly matched. It was like, think of the Civil War from Skyrim. Nothing happens until you do something.
Yeah. So they make it all the way out to Sven's ship, and he finally tells the guys, like, "Oh, okay, so I need the Dominion Rod because my town or my village is in danger."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Whoa, why is it in danger?" And he goes, "Well, there's this ice monster called Cold Stare that is gonna just take over and probably freeze the entire top half of the world."
Mm-hmm.
And I built a golem to try and keep us safe from that, and I couldn't bring it to life with anything. My magic isn't strong enough. And they're like, "Oh, okay, so that's fine. You know, it's just a Tuesday for us." So they hop in the boat. And Sven tries to leave on his own because he's like, "This is my fight, thank you guys." And he dips out of there. Nigel and Alfred and Matthias went home at that point because Matthias took the power from the Dominion Rod and says, like, "I'm going to help my people." And we later found out that when they were able to replicate the power of the Dominion Rod, they ended up helping fight against the Phantom Army. So Sven would
that was much later, though.
Yeah, but Sven would go and check on them from time to time by using his sight.
Nigel and Alfred being the stubborn dudes they are,
Yeah.
especially Nigel captaining the ship, they just decided, okay, we're following Sven whether he wants us to or not.
Yeah, so they caught his backdraft.
We stalked him.
Yeah, they caught the backdraft from his boat and sailed up to the Inuki Islands. And meeting some of the townspeople and the elder, they're like, oh, Sven got here, about an hour before, or like a couple hours before you guys. He went off to his workshop. We don't know where he is. We don't know where that workshop is. He tried to keep it safe from us. So they go, oh, I'm sorry, along the way, you guys met, you stopped, I forgot to mention one of the stops you made was back in the Lanayru province to stock up again, where you met Tristan.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, can't forget about that.
Well, 'cause
Oh,
we had,
man.
That was something.
we had a taco night at my house, and just to kill the time until everyone showed up, we just had a quick session.
Chicos Calientes.
Don't give away the group name.
It's not like they could find it. We just started playing, and Tristan shows up, and he goes like, all right, yeah, I'll play, guys.
Yeah.
So he just made a character, and I was like, well, this is probably going to be a one-shot. I'm not going to make you play this forever. He goes like, okay, I'll be Tristan. And so,
I'll be, yeah.
yeah, so he was just his version of himself walking around with a sword, and what he turned into a necklace of scalps.
No big
Yeah,
deal.
very interesting
Which-
necklace. Yeah.
One of them
Did
was
he,
his mom's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
one of them
like,
was
scalped his mom.
Yeah.
somebody who insulted his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a love-hate relationship.
pretty interesting.
So because of that,
He
Sure.
and Nigel got along.
yeah, they got along
Who's
really
the
well.
funniest thing?
So
He
as we're
is
going,
the outlier.
So Tristan's with them while they're in the Inuki Islands, and he's just like, I'm just along for the ride. If we want to go find this dude, whatever. So they get up there, and then Ben shows up, and Ben starts taking control of like some Inuki NPCs that just go along to like help
That's
guide them
right.
through the ice.
That's
Oh,
right.
Ben.
And they finally get up there, and Cold Stare emerges, and they start this boss encounter, and they're doing okay. They're just firing cannons and breaking ice chunks off of this body, and then you hear like giant footsteps running up, and you turn and you see Sven on the shoulder of this big wood and stone golem.
And at this point, I was also playing. I'm muted.
Pretty much the entire boss fight.
Yeah,
Every
And-
single time.
it's good stuff.
They
And
actually,
it fit, too.
yeah, they did a lot of damage, but they'd actually broken the entire ice shell off of Cold Stare and
That's
revealed
right.
him to be like just this kind of quadrupedal, like dragon-like, being like a Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
But just huge.
Big lizard.
Yeah, big lizard, and it could shoot out like ice spikes and like kind of like some.
I almost kind of pictured like King Dodongo, but ice instead
Yeah,
of fire.
yeah, like a bluish gray King Dodongo
Yeah.
would be a very good way to describe it. And as they were fighting it, Tristan rolled a really high. He got a really high roll, and revealed that he can turn into a dragon as well. So,
Wait, what, wasn't that out of a prayer too?
that wasn't. That's right. I'm sorry.
That's right. Sven cast prayer again.
Yeah, Sven cast prayer because he's like, I'm just gonna see what happens, and
Yeah.
that version of prayer unlocked Tristan, which his chest like glowed red, and he turned into like what basically looked like Lao Shan Lung from Monster Hunter, and
Was he huge?
yeah, he was
Okay.
huge, and he just incinerates Cold Stare, and they're like, okay, boss fight's done, and I ended the session there, and then the next session we picked up. Tristan couldn't make it to that one because he ended up like he just couldn't make it. And that sounds like really ominous. He went on a trip. Nothing bad happened to him.
He's fine. He just,
Yeah.
He's exploring the world.
yeah.
Quite
he-
literally.
And himself.
He's literally not, yeah, he's not available to do this right now.
So
He went bye-bye.
yeah, and so I wrote it out like, okay, so this Tristan is he walks between different worlds. He's what's called a void walker. So this portal opens up and he goes, "Oh, it's fine, guys. This happens all the time," and he just leaves. And I actually think now's a good time for a break because I need some water and I gotta go potty.
Yeah, you can take
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you unofficially by Little Caesars Pizza. Head on down to Little Caesars to get yourself an extra most bestest pizza with extra pepperoni and extra cheese for just $1 more than a hot and ready. You can't beat that kind of deal. Get yourself some pizza.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm gonna love with you and tell you everything that's in my soul, baby, like Nightmare himself.
You know you loved it.
That actually brings us into
Boogie Wonderland.
Part 2
Okay.
of the
How'd
Golden
you?
Girls
There,
exploits.
there is no transition
Golden
from that.
Girls 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's my line. How dare you take my jokes?
See, I was a fan of Golden Girls 2 Reloaded.
That's I'm
It's
taking
just
that
Nigel,
one.
but more violent.
Golden Girls Revengeance.
I'll be back.
Just hard to do because I think there was probably 5 or 6 NPCs we encountered that Nigel just tried to kill right off the bat.
Yeah, which most of them ended up joining your crew.
Yeah.
That's
Except
an
for
oversight.
one almost killed us for sure towards the end there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
One was Angel's second character, which we'll get to.
You guys actually, you had your fond farewell with Sven. He carved the shape of a Nanuki into the bow of the Golden Girl for you. I actually don't know what we named the boat.
It was the Black Blade.
Okay, because you said it once and we never said it again.
That is in my notes.
I had just been
Is it
like,
really?
Yep.
I had just been calling it the Golden Girl.
Wait,
Like
I didn't.
internally.
That works out
Really?
because
Yeah.
it was the Black Blade under the first crew. Which
Yeah.
That's
they
what
were-
he's
they-
always
We
said.
killed off them basically, and then so now it was a new crew for the Golden Girls. So
Yep.
it'll be the Golden Girl.
Even though there's a carving of a male Anuki on the front.
Not anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, Sven
No,
did it
he put
again.
it back
Oh,
on.
no,
He did it
He
again.
put it back on.
He put it back on.
Poor Sven, he
Maybe
had
we
to
should go
carve
back
that.
to being
He
the
had to
Black Blade.
carve
That
that
it had black
twice.
sails.
It
So-
did.
Sven had to carve that twice.
Oh boy.
Hey, you said you wanted a character that carves stuff.
That's he had a great time. But
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say
could
probably
you
did it
imagine
first
like
Imagine
working?
how much better it was the second time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, could you imagine working so hard on like a painting or something, and then
Somebody Thanos snaps it out of existence.
and then you're like, well, now I have to do it again.
I think it's a blessing and a curse because
Yeah.
then you kind of know that'd be like. So if I had to redo,
Probably
the
did it in
story-
like half the time the second time.
Yeah, like if for whatever reason you guys get amnesia, but you only remembered like up to before we started this, then I'd be like, okay, now I get to do this again. But then then I gotta figure. Yeah.
But we're getting way too ahead of ourselves.
So, you guys, Sven said like, okay, I'm gonna.
We had a big feast. It was awesome.
You guys had a big feast. You said you.
Oh, we all took pieces of the dragon or
That's
of
true.
Cold Stare.
I think Tristan took a scalp.
Yeah,
he
he
just
took
took
a
the
dragon
scalp.
Yeah.
and like strapped it to his back.
Yeah, because the thing
Turned
was
into a
huge.
cape.
Yeah, okay. Well, like a turtle shell.
Yeah.
Sven took a rib and made a new staff. Nigel also took a rib and planned to make a new sword.
Didn't I make like
You
knuckles?
made
brass
you made
knuckles?
bone knuckles.
knuckles?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
made claws.
Yeah.
Bone claws.
Take that, wolf.
So you guys sailed to the south, and as you or actually no,
No,
you
they
wanted
tried to
sail
go to
north.
Arcadia.
You tried to go north to Arcadia, but rolled another event.
Nadra 2
Not
Reloaded.
Resident
Yeah.
Evil's Arcadia.
And I think you rolled a 2, right?
I did.
Yeah,
I
you
rolled
rolled a
even lower
2.
this time, which
Yeah.
is why I was like, okay, Nadra's angry.
Yeah,
So
Cranky time.
and then
She big
it's just that time of the month for her.
Oh my.
Would you like to explain the dynamics of dragons in their special time?
The dragon menstrual cycle.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go for it.
no, that's all right.
Yeah, dig that hole. You go for it.
Okay, this video is not for kids. So
It happens to all of us, Kyle. It's natural.
Okay.
I think I'm taking this bit too far.
Can't relate.
No, I do not have a dragon uterus, so I don't.
Speak for yourself, man.
Roll for pregnancy one time. Oh, that was close.
Nice.
So you guys wanted to go north, but Nadra showed up and didn't even attack you guys, but made a tidal wave, which knocked everyone out. Well, actually, just the two of you. Knocked Nigel and
Oh wow, it was just the two of you.
and Dr. Alfred out.
Blimey.
And you guys woke up on a beach surrounded by jungle.
Yep.
It's like
And-
And my
Castaway.
boat
Yeah, the boat.
was beached sideways.
Like a beached whale.
It was fully intact, just on its side.
So you cut to we cut to Nigel he's screaming and yelling and throwing his weapons at the boat, and they're just bouncing off because Sven
that's
enchanted
right.
it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
lost his temper
And,
really quick.
and that's where Nigel learned, sort of. It was like the
Yeah.
first occurrence of his new ability.
Yeah,
So
which is
I had
Battle
leveled
Mind.
it. Yeah, I leveled up after
Oh,
Cold
yeah.
Stare and gotten Battle Mind and Blade Storm, where essentially I could control my weapons with my mind and they would return to me magically, and I could Blade Storm throw things all at once. So in Nigel's rage, Connor's confusion. I'm like, my boat is beached. What am I supposed to do? I'm a pirate. I got to figure this out. But I know Nigel would be mad and just stabs things. So he starts attacking his own boat, just every weapon in his arsenal. and then they all magically come back, but he's so angry that he just keeps throwing, like, the weapon's never running out.
Not
Just
realizing it.
It's a low point.
And I think one of you rolled like an observation. And
No.
No. Okay, so you just caught that there was like rustling in the bushes.
I
Yes.
rolled a low stealth.
There
Oh,
was
okay.
yeah.
Which we didn't actually know was Angel's character yet. Well, they didn't know it was
There was
Angel's character
something in
yet.
the bushes.
And a Garo ninja jumps out, and the ring of fire shows up, and everyone's like,
Ring of fire.
That's not true.
oh,
we,
no.
we missed why he jumped out.
Yeah.
You missed why he jumped. Yeah, I was talking about.
You rolled low enough because I remember I was talking about the bush wrestling, and I was like, I had a point after that.
Yeah, Nigel made a move.
Nigel's like, he's still mad. Sees the bush rush, throws the sword at
Bum
it.
rushes
You
it.
just hear, hey!
I think he threw a frost spear.
He
Yeah,
tried-
I do have
Not
frost
that
spear.
it matters.
And
But
Like
so,
a
like, there's a light
jerk.
powder snow, but then it quickly goes away because a Garo jumps out and a ring of fire shows up. And so they fight for a little bit enough until, like, his hood comes off and you're just like, you're just a dude. And Nigel, being from Termina, is familiar with Garo, and they quickly...
Like, vaguely.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of know, I've heard of
You
them,
know they
but I've
exist.
never
yeah,
fought one.
because
Yeah.
you weren't in Termina for very long.
I was in
Yeah.
Termina as a child and then never went back.
Yeah.
So he knew, like, local legends.
Yeah.
And...
Maybe ghost stories that parents told the kids, maybe.
Yeah, like, don't go to Ikana.
Garo
Meanwhile,
kinda
Ikana is like
freaky.
this sprawling metropolis.
Right.
So they meet this Garo whose name is Claudio. And
yes.
he goes like, what are you doing? He's like, I just was doing a hot spring around here and I saw a ship and, pirates, like...
I heard someone yelling.
Yeah.
I heard stuff bouncing off the hull of a ship.
Yeah.
Got kind of
And I'm
curious.
just thinking, watch your profanity. So they're like, okay, well, hey, I know where a hot spring is. Let's relax a little bit.
Should all
and-
cool
yeah.
off or chill
Yeah.
for a minute.
Take a chill pill.
Yeah, so they go and they relax in the hot spring, and they're just like, you know what, I need a break. And he goes, well, I know a really quick road to Romani Ranch if you guys want to get some food and some milk. They're like, yeah, let's do it. And Nigel, the entire time, kind of has this ulterior motive, because you can explain that.
So Nigel's childhood crush, he
Oh,
grew up in
boy.
Termina. He lived on a farm. His parents had a farm. The thing about Termina being kind of technologically advanced compared to most other parts of the world, but I think not Arcadia, if I'm right.
Arcadia and Tome.
Yeah, Arcadia and Tome are more advanced, but Termina being more advanced than like Hyrule, being on a farm meant you were on like the poorer end of things. So you grew up poor, but then there was another farm, Romani Ranch, where this girl Cremia was growing up, and so that was his like childhood crush and also like best friend. So they knew each other, but then Nigel disappears after his parents die, so he hasn't seen Cremia in years.
So after they appear, and Nigel just kind of like sits down with her for a little bit and just kind of puts on the moves and says, hey, I don't know if
Spit
you're...
some game.
He
Yeah,
had
he's like, I don't know if you remembered me, but I can't stop thinking about you.
he had,
You know?
he had all of his weapons fly like high above.
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah,
building
so she didn't see him.
and just float up there. So
Yeah.
he walked in completely unarmed.
I remember because the joke was like, well, if it doesn't go well, just...
Bring him back.
Remember, Claudio was
Fine.
Claudio's just standing there watching Nigel put the moves on, just laughing.
So...
Dr. Al was having one of his existential
yeah.
My
crises.
soap opera
He
moments.
had like another vision. Oh, and that's the reason. That's why Claudio said, "Hey, there's a temple in Ikana."
Because I recognized
Oh, yeah, his robes.
Yeah.
Alfred's robes.
They recognized
My
the robes
robes.
because which we'll get to Claudio in a second.
Oh, right, Claudio.
Yeah, actually, go ahead and introduce Claudio.
Right. So Claudio, young, like I'd say he's like 25 or younger. Little Garo. I guess you'd call him like a foundling. Basically,
Shout
he
out to the Mandalorian.
right, yeah.
And I'll explain that lore with a Q&A.
Yeah.
So
Basically, he was all he remembers is he doesn't have like amnesia or anything, but he was young. Basically, the bulk of what he remembers is being raised in I forgot what the village was called. Started with a
Shinjo.
Shinjo, yeah.
Yeah.
Raised in Shinjo Village, which is I don't know, think Naruto, and learned most of the ways of the Garo, but didn't quite understand them before he just left.
Well, you were conscripted pretty early, but the war ended.
Yeah, that's right.
So
So
you saw some combat, but
Yeah.
not like
not
enough to
not
stay
enough,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically he left just to go have fun because he never really got a fun childhood. And, like, mind you, it wasn't a terrible childhood being raised by Garo. It just,
but it was work.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. So he's fun loving, I guess. Maybe fun lusting, if that doesn't sound weird.
I'd say he's just adventurous to
Yeah,
a point
he
where it's
longs for adventure and fun. So he mapped out like where every single hot spring was.
Yeah, even like some secret ones. That,
yeah.
Like, so, here's another thing: is they figured out they landed on the continent of Subrosia, which is
right.
on Termina.
Yes.
And Subrosia is the home of Subrosians and Garo, which are just kind of like Subrosians are just kind of like the term for miners, like miner, like harvesting gems.
Not children.
Yeah, like you don't see little kids like, okay, come here, little Subrosians. No,
The Kokiri, but different.
They used to be like they have this long storied past of war and strife because of the Garo, and they recently, after the hot springs became more and more frequent, they kind of used the thermal energy to just kind of improve their quality of life and also turned it into a bit of a tourist destination. So there's parts of it like there's big like there's what's called the Great Springs, which are these 3 volcano-shaped mountains that have like hot spring layers going down them where people always hang out. So that's always buzzing. But Claudio figured out like all these other secret little spots, and he's like, these are way better.
They're basically always isolated, so he can just go chill by himself.
Yeah.
Just get fully nude, jump in them.
Yeah.
It's just what he likes to do.
Okay.
So he tells. So after while Nigel's on his little date, Alfred has another little episode, and Claudio says, "There's a temple in Ikana, which might be able to help you. I will take you there." And he recognizes Rose as well. He's like, "Oh, okay, you're one of those guys. Let's get you some help." Which Nigel is the first time. Sorry, not Nigel. Alfred. This is the first time he's hearing any of this. Like, oh, I'm wrong, like, or just figuring out like what his purpose is. Because he thought he had it together, but then he's having these visions of someone else.
Gotta hit rock bottom before you can get back up.
Yeah.
That's my character.
They venture into Ikana, and they stop and they meet a man named Cazador, who just runs a stand. And they have like a little... I changed it because I was like, I wanted Ikana to be different from the mainland, because they're so isolated through a valley and a mountain range. And they make what's called mineral nectar, which is where they use like different rock. It was basically like it's just soda, but it was just a funny like fantasy version of it. And
a carbonated drink.
Yeah, they have a drink off Claudio and Cazador because they're both they speak very similar language. It'd be like someone speaking Spanish to someone who speaks Portuguese. It's similar enough, but like there's still clear differences. So they talk to each other, and then they like just kind of like have fun, just kind of have this little this bubble off, and
it was whoever burped first lost.
Yeah,
a little bit of the bubbly.
Cazador lost, so their meal was
just
free.
Barely.
Yeah, their meal was free, and he goes like, okay, I have a delivery tomorrow, so you guys can rest up at my house, and I'll take you to the temple. They go up there and they meet the matriarch, who is the leader of the Stone Tower monks. And
also Cazador's mom.
Yeah, and also, which we come to find out, Cazador's mom. And they're like, wait, Cazador, were you a monk? He's like, yeah, for a while, but, I don't like living here. Yeah, I like to cook.
Yeah, you like cooking.
So you find out that, like, not only that, but Cazador's, like, a very powerful magic user, or like, magi.
Packed his house up into his pocket.
Yeah. Like, magically
literally.
shrunk his house.
Like, think Ant-Man with the tank. Like, he does that with his house.
It was pretty funny.
He can do a lot of stuff like that. He goes... So she tells him, like, okay, so you are an offshoot of the Soul Brotherhood in Monktown Valley, which is to the south.
Yep.
That's S-O-L, I think.
Yeah,
right?
S-O-L.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
Like the Spanish word for sun.
Yes.
Shout out to our other unofficial sponsor, Soul, where you can get yourself delicious tacos and burritos.
I haven't been there yet.
It's like my favorite place. I was there every day.
They got a good SoCal burrito with the French fries in it.
All right, I'm gonna try it out.
We have to go next
those are
time.
good.
Period. That's it.
Cazador goes like, yeah, I don't want to be here, and I got plenty of money. I can close up whenever I want. So like, as you guys have seen, I could pack up anything. And I also thought it'd be fun to have like someone to ease Angel into figuring out more of like what a Subrosian or an Akani would act like. So Cazador is also just like one of my little pet characters. I've used him for other stories. So I was like, yeah, I'll throw him around with those guys, and I think it'd be fun to watch them all work off each other. That way, you're not the odd man out again. Because Nigel is a very suspicious person of new people, because he's a pirate, so of course he's not going to be like, oh hey, you're my new friend. He's not Luffy, basically.
He ain't no Girl Scout.
He's not just a pirate. He's a pirate who got betrayed by everyone he
A
knew.
disgruntled pirate.
He's a pirate who's seen some stuff.
And again, his parents died when he was young, and he never figured out how. Got betrayed by the people who basically raised him after that. Like, yeah. Nigel's got issues.
Sucks
One
to
or
suck,
two.
I guess.
Yeah, and I was just like, well, I'm going to make this as easy on everybody as possible. Let's just bring in a dude who can cook. So,
And it worked.
Saves the day every time.
they head down to... they make it to Monktown Valley, where Alfred has his moment of awakening, where the leader of the Brotherhood comes up to him and he says, like, here's the story. There was a war years ago in Low Rule, which is where our Brotherhood originates, and we splintered off. And when we tried to rebuild again, they said, well, why don't we get weapons and fight back? And the main Brotherhood is like, well, that's not our way. So these insurrectionists splintered off and created their own factions of warrior monks who worship weapons over like the way of light, which became like, so that you could find like the Brotherhood of the Blade, the Brotherhood of the Holy Hand Grenade, stuff like that, and yeah, during which they found Big Al, which we later found out his name is Alphonse.
Alphonse. Hey. Alphonse.
Big Fonzie.
Big Fonzie, Big Al.
He touched this magic mirror, which gave him this moment of clarity, and where he was able to fuse himself and become reborn as Alphonse. And his head was clearer. He wasn't behaving erratically. He wasn't having episodes. He was just like, okay, I know who I am now.
And he didn't worship a holy hand grenade.
Yeah, he didn't worship a magical grenade, which just like
no more cults. No more you are loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore did he tell us that he loved us.
Now he was just a
You are not loved.
he was just a sassy man who had really hard fists.
Punching wolves with a bare fist.
Basically turned into religious Captain Falcon.
Yeah.
Perfect. I was religious Captain Falcon by all
Falcon.
means.
Reverend Falcon.
Blessed be as I knock your lights.
Reverend Falcon. Show me your sins.
That is my new catchphrase if we pick this campaign up again. That's it. Show me your sins.
Yeah.
Praise me.
So, the guys got a bright idea. This is the first time I've ever been like visibly upset.
Well, okay.
Okay, wait, well,
You gotta say why we got that idea.
I was getting to that.
Okay.
So
Don't throw me
when
under the bus.
Alphonse came out of the leader of the Brotherhood said, I was shown a vision that I need to give you this, and he hands him a box, which he opens it up, and it's the Lens of Truth,
What's in the box?
which represents Alphonse's journey to discovering the truth of himself.
Which is great.
And it came in handy a lot, basically, because for those of you who don't know what the Lens of Truth is in puzzles and Zelda games, you can see invisible junk, so like bridges, levers, switches. And this, it did a lot more. But more on that later.
You cut to Nigel and Claudio.
Yeah, Nigel goes, "Can I touch the mirror?" And
Naughty,
the father
naughty.
goes, "Sure."
Because Nigel and Claudio just had like a little aside where it's like, hey, he got treasure from doing that.
He just
Greedy.
touched the thing and got a thing.
Yeah. And the pirate is like,
mirror.
"I like treasure."
He got a thing for that. Didn't look too hard.
So which one of us went first?
You did.
I think you
Was
did.
it me?
did, you
Yeah, so I
jerk.
just
Yeah.
sprint at the mirror before anybody can stop me.
Yeah.
And I remember the look on Kyle's face. This was my favorite, one of my favorite moments, because we're having this conversation. Kyle's kind of looking down at his notes, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sprint to the mirror and touch it before anyone can stop me. And the look on Kyle's face of just like, oh no.
You ruined his day.
And so he goes over, he touches the mirror, and what everyone sees is he runs over, taps the mirror, collapses.
Yeah.
What Nigel sees is he goes over, taps the mirror, an arm grabs his wrist, pulls him in. He's in this stone chamber with these two giant beings just talking to each other. They look over. He says, he hears someone go, "Oh, interloper," and just reaches for him, and he wakes up on the floor.
I wrote in my notes that I got groped and called an interloper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is what he would tell people when he would describe that encounter.
That's right. He's like, yeah, I got
He's
called
like,
an interloper and got groped.
I'm an interloper, so what are you doing next
It's not
Tuesday?
It's not a
Two
proud
big
moment.
freaky looking dudes.
Yeah.
Kind of wild.
Oh no.
Alphonse, oh no, actually, and then Claudio's like, all right, man.
Well, hold on. So
Wait,
he,
Oh, yeah,
what
sorry.
I got. Yeah.
yeah.
He stands up and he feels like something drop out of his shorts,
Yep.
and it's just this. It's
What's
it's just this curved knife,
Yep.
made out of like black stone and
Yeah.
just like or like purplish like obsidian looking stone, cracks all like with like this cracked pattern on it, and he goes, just
Puts
straps
it
it
away.
onto his leg,
Yeah.
and he's like, cool, got a knife.
And Claudio's like, he got a thing.
Yeah.
I want a thing.
Yeah, Claudio's just like, all right, just saunters over, taps on the glass, and then like doesn't faint, just kind of blinks and turns around. And he goes, all right. So what Claudio sees is he's on the battlefield of the war he was in, and he turns over and he doesn't see the enemy they were fighting. He sees this floating, this like flowing cloak, and this guy with this really shiny head, like a robotic like chrome face, just turn, and these two glowing red eyes look at him, and then it doesn't do anything. It just looks at him, and then he wakes up. And he reaches.
He looked
into
at
his,
me menacingly.
Yeah, reaches into his pocket and he pulls out like this big crystalline shard, and he's like, "Aw."
Now, Claudio doesn't have pockets.
Yeah, so it's basically like, I got a magnifying glass, I got a knife, I got a rock.
Yeah, Claudio was pretty upset.
It's a rock.
Yeah.
It was a shiny rock, but he was still upset.
Right.
I think he went up to Nigel and was like, "You want to trade?"
He
And the
might-
funny thing
yeah.
is, I think you guys tried because you handed each
Yeah.
other things and they just like back to you.
I think you're right.
Because that's how you discovered like, oh, I can't get rid of this.
Yeah.
I remember at the time I didn't think about this because in my mind I was just like, oh, it's my battle mind thing. The knife is mine now, so it just came back to me. But that doesn't explain why the mirror shard would have gone back.
Right to him. Yeah. So the the father, the head of the order of the Brotherhood of Soul, is just like, okay, just kind of goes to his office and he's like, I'm not dealing with this. And they're like, okay, well, let's get back to the boat. This sounds like fun, guys.
Yeah, so
Like,
Nigel
whatever.
hits a rock.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I stabbed a rock with the purpley
Oh, and
knife
it just
on the way.
disintegrates.
Yeah,
Like
straight up.
Yeah.
Because I was curious. Nigel's like, oh, is this a regular knife, magic? Like, what does it do? So I stab it, and it like think of a pumpkin. If you kept it on your porch from Halloween to like Christmas, what that pumpkin would look like. That's
Yeah.
what happened to the rock.
Yeah,
He basically caved in on
Nasty.
itself.
Yeah, and just turned into dust. And he's like, okay, man, bummed out Zachariah's dead. Just kind of puts it away. So they decide, like, okay, well, I need to get back on the ocean. And Cazador's like, oh, well, I can help you with that. So I lied. You guys didn't go to Icona first. You went to the
Did
Soul.
we go after?
Yeah, we
Okay.
went after. Because the
You're right, because
I forgot the Brotherhood.
Cazador wasn't with
He
us.
wasn't there, and the father said, "Oh, here, go to Icona. You'll get answers." Because Nigel wanted to know, why is all this stuff happening to us? And I wanted to understand our visions. And the father's like, "I ain't telling you what happened because I don't know. So go talk to the matriarch." So you guys went
That's
to
right,
Icona.
that's right.
Then you
Yep,
met
yep.
Cazador, and the matriarch goes like, "Okay, you guys remember that guy Tristan? Yeah. He has marked you with like extra dimensional energy, and now basically everything in this known universe is going to be after you." And they're like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
Yeah.
So
It's a problem. So quick check in on Nigel's mental health at this point.
Poor guy.
Your mental health doesn't exist.
More
It's
magical
gone.
encounters. At this point, he hates dragons. Between two encounters with
Racist
Nadra,
against
one
dragons.
which beached his ship, which he
Yeah.
fought so hard to get back, and then Cold Stare, and then Tristan, who's a dragon heart, essentially, who's now marked them for destruction by magical beings that Nigel still doesn't understand. He has magic abilities that he can't figure out why he has them, but he does. Nigel's not doing well.
Yeah.
But he encountered his childhood crush, so he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to come back and restore that relationship, and it's going to be good. And then he finds out he's being hunted by everything in the universe.
So as they're figuring this out, the matriarch's like, "Hey, also, what's up with the big dark cloud in the east?" And they're like, "You can see that?" And she's like, "Well, I can see it." And they're like, "Ah, magic, cool, yeah, that's us. We're sorry."
Claudio's like, "That's you guys?"
Big whoops. Big whoops.
Or no, Claudio's like,
Spoiler.
Yeah.
"What's you guys?"
Yeah, and then Cazador's like, "Mom, I got this." So he's like, "I'm gonna go with these guys for a bit." So they sail down, or they get back to the boat, and they sail down to Farron to stock up real fast. And while they're in there, they realize the port's run by Keatons.
That's right.
And none of them had ever met a Keaton, but like Nigel knew vaguely what they were.
Nigel and Claudio had heard of them.
Claudio's just like,
Most people in this Zelda universe are racist against Keatons.
yeah, because they're like known for being like sneaky gypsies, and they're, like, oh, they're just gonna give us like they're gonna upcharge us for water, and
Which
stuff like that.
is fair enough, because turned out to be true.
Yeah, because they've been treated like
Hilarious
that for so long.
encounter, by the way.
And there's a lore reason as to why.
Like,
But,
so funny.
yeah, so they meet a guy who's just like, "Oh, come this way, and I'll help you, and I'll take you to the shop." And so he goes in there, and you see him disappear behind the building, come back up. It's the same guy, just wearing a hat.
Yeah.
And as
He
he's doing
treated
that,
us like he'd never met us before.
yeah, and he goes
That
like,
was
"It'll be
great.
30 rupees for this little bag of like rice."
Yeah.
And then you see like this guy's paw reach his shoulder, just yeet him out of the building, just like throws him over, and he goes, "Get out of here! I don't ever want to see you again. I told you never to come back here." And the guy's like, so he scampers off to his hut, and then this dude. It's just this Keaton who's got like a more like reddish like fox tint to him, and he goes, "Look, I'm really sorry about that, and honestly, you take what you need. I don't want to be here anymore." And they're like, "Well, if you don't want to be here, we're not going to be here. So you want to like, what's your deal?" And he's like, I hate it here. Everyone thinks we're like thieves, and I'm just trying to get by. I will pay you a very large sum of rupees to get me anywhere but here.
And at this point, Nigel knows a beaten down man when he sees one, and a crafty guy, so a little bit wary of like Nigel doesn't want to get robbed, but he offers to have Raymond join their crew.
It's like it's like a bit. His name is Raymond, but he goes by Ray. And Nigel's like, "Okay, I understand. You're like me." Cazador's like, "I want to play cards with someone." So, let's go. So they're headed back, and they're like, "Oh, we need help with this phantom business, though." So they go back, and they get Sven. And Sven's like...
Oh, wait, before that, I forgot. Just about anyone who looked at Claudio, like, either turned away or, like tried to avoid eye contact. Yeah. Or, in Raymond's case...
it's just
like,
terrifying.
Actually whimpered.
Yeah. Because basically everyone now, because when Nigel was young, they didn't really know what the Garrow were. Now everyone knows.
Yeah, and I mean,
who the Garrow are.
And he's dressed like a Garrow. Like he's wearing sandals. His legs and arms are wrapped up, and he's wearing nothing else but a poncho.
Yeah.
And yeah, or a hooded poncho, but the hood is for the most part off.
Yeah. So Raymond's like,
yeah.
So, but like
and Claudio just goes, "Oh, hi, you new?" And Raymond's like, "Oh."
Yeah. And like Cazador's kind of into it. He's like, "Dude, I want to know what you're about." So
oh yeah.
So like Cazador, Raymond, and Claudio are kind of like the Three Stooges for a little bit.
It was great.
Until
it was a fun time.
They pick up Sven, and then they're like, "Okay, let's head to Lanayru," because Lorum, I remember him. He knew what he was doing. So
that's right. We need to gather just an army.
Yeah. Lorum goes back to because Sven looks and sees like Matthias has shown up with the Lacomo. They're fighting back the phantoms, but like I think we should help. So he gets his golem. Cazador's like, "Oh, I could shrink that." And so they take like the golem and they get like better weapons and like dragon gunpowder. They sail to Lanayru, and Nigel gets down. He's like, "Lorum, my man," and he goes, "No."
So again, backstory. Like, Lorum had run with their pirate crew for a bit, like, just on little excursions, because, like, but he was never part of the main crew, but would help them sometimes, so...
Yeah. And then he just left with no explanation. But he was just like, "Look, I'm out," and Zachariah's like, "Whatever," because he knew he was going to the port. So he's like, "You're not going to do whatever, like, you're just going to go work." Trying to go the straight and narrow. And he goes, "Just take my kid." Like... "You have a kid?" And you see like this hippie-looking, like long curly fin Zora gets out of the water. He's like, "What's up, guys?" Like, "I'm Tad."
Oh, Tad.
And he's like, "Just get him out of here. You can take him with you."
Tad
I remember having that conversation with Lorum, and I'm like I'll take care of him. Like, this could be good for him. And Lorum's just like, honestly, like, if you can, like, it's probably going to be good for him. Just go.
Yeah, he's like, he'll be fine. He needs the experience. I'm tired of him.
Pretty much.
It was clear, like, their energy levels just didn't meet. Where Lorum's like, "I can carry, like, 2 large fishing nets over my shoulder." Or Tad's like, "I got 2 large fishing nets. I could jump out of the water and land, blah, blah, blah."
I love him.
Lorum's like, reeling in a fishing line. Like, slowly. That describes both of them. And so they hop back in the boat and they get out of there. And they go to Zhao's and they're like, "Hey, Danny." Danny's like, "Yeah, okay, we're closing up for a while. Let's go, Rocco." Rocco's like, "Cool."
We
Rocco
really just
steps
called them
on
the
boat,
boys.
and you see this rock pebble like fall off his shoulder.
Freaking rock pebble.
And like everyone from Termina is like, okay, we know what's happening.
It's
They
so
grab
gross.
blankets, they grab like some warm water. And they
Claudia
wrap,
didn't know what happened.
yeah, they wrap up the like Raymond, Cazador, and Danny go over and they're like, all right, Rocco, we got it.
Yeah.
So
Claudia and Nigel are like,
Rocco,
what is that?
So-
Did he just poop?
Why are they wrapping
He
up a
pooped
rock?
a rock.
Gorons do what's called budding, which is where like rocks just fall off them and then turn into more Gorons because they're all male.
Gross.
Well, they're all male. They don't, and they reproduce asexually. So Rocco had a baby.
Strutting his
'Cause,
stuff
like,
in public.
Most Gorons, when they get to a certain age, they just have one. You can kind of make one whenever you want, but
You get one shot.
yeah, it was like a mixture of like stress and just like Rocco's age, and they had a little baby, so they keep it safe. And now Rocco's like ready to fight because he's like, okay, now I got something to protect other than my friend Danny.
Yeah.
And
He also got a bit more timid after that, though.
yeah, he did because he was like trying to keep his baby safe, and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
other stuff happened to where he knew he might be separated from it, so it was a whole other thing.
He was
Then
just
they-
being fatherly.
yeah.
Nice guy.
And then Sven and Bjorn decided to come along too,
That's right.
and
We figured out their abilities. That was fun.
Yeah, I think Bjorn had like some magical prowess,
Yeah.
and I forgot what can Simon
This
do.
this was the plot.
What
twist with
couldn't Simon do?
That's true.
So we were like, can Simon fight?
Right.
And all of a sudden, in like a blur, like from the flash, Simon sprints around the group faster than any of us can see, and like taps everybody on the ankle with a knife, except for
Tap, tap,
Like
tap.
the blunt side of
one
it.
person caught it. Like one person was fast enough
I think
to catch
Claudio
it.
did.
Claudio
yeah,
might
Or
have.
was it Raymond?
I don't remember. Did we introduce Raymond to
Because
this
we all,
podcast?
we
Okay.
all, we all
It
rolled
might
for
have been Cassador.
I don't know.
I
It was
know
one of
ev-
Angel's characters, right?
Everyone rolled.
Oh, he didn't touch Sven. 'cause
No,
he
he didn't
No.
touch Sven. Sven was standing next to his own dad, or next to
So
Bjorn.
basically, like,
Someone rolled.
He just kind of like
yeah,
he
he's
basically
faster
just like
than
flat
everyone.
tired everybody.
Yeah, he missed like one person. Who remembers who it was?
But they're like, okay, this kid's quick. He's fine.
yeah.
Um,
And oh wait, and then everyone he touched with a knife floated
we
into
were
the
floating.
air,
Yeah.
he,
and then froze in place and couldn't move.
that's right. He was a Scion.
We were stuck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he had like a little bit of psychic prowess, which is why he was able to find gems so easily and see
okay.
stuff that like wasn't. Yeah.
I see.
so that was the part, like this little kid we had met like early in the campaign. It's just like, oh, by the way, I'm overpowered.
Because
Yeah.
when he told Sven when he gave him the box of crystals, like, oh yeah, these are like all over down at the beach. I find them all the time. Sven kind of wrote that off as like, oh okay, well,
It's just a kid giving me a rock.
yeah, it's just a kid giving me like his little rock collection. That's cute. And he's like, and if I ever lose it or whatever, I can just go and get some more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And then of course I as a person wrote it off like that too. I was like, all right, that's probably something like for an obscure puzzle maybe.
Right.
I still have no idea what it is.
I will. Which
But
we'll get to. I promise.
We'll get to. I
Um,
guess.
So we get
Really?
everyone.
Really?
So now they finally have the whole crew. They get on the boat. They head out to the area where the Phantom Army is fighting the Armos. And Matthias looks and he sees everyone, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you guys made it! Thank you so much. We need help." And so they make a battle plan. And then here's something I need to talk about. I don't give out inspiration. I give out what's called blessings,
Yep.
which are these little.
That was the perfect time to introduce that.
These little coin machines, they used to sell these little plastic figurines, and I just thought they were so cool. So I went on Amazon and I bought them in bulk.
Yeah.
And I started giving them out as like, these are little effects that if you want to use them, something cool will happen in game.
Nuggets of wisdom.
It was just like if someone says something funny or does something really creative with like gameplay, just like as a reward. Because in regular Dungeons and Dragons, inspiration, you just get like a bonus to a roll or whatever. And I was like, well, I want something that's easier than just like, because what if you waste a roll in like drinking? So I was like, well, let's have some fun with this. And 1 second. So I gave out these little blessings. So everybody had like at least 2 at this point. And
Yeah, we basically got them when we made Kyle laugh uncontrollably.
I got
mine
3.
were in an interesting place. I'll wait till you're done describing them to describe what I ended up with.
well, because we'll have to get to what they are,
Right.
Because they came into play.
There were
Um,
2 that we never figured out what they did.
yeah, which I will again.
One of them's mine that I never
One of
did
them's
use.
yours, and then one of them was Ben's.
Yeah.
No, Tristan's. Ben didn't get one?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. No, Ben had never earned one.
No,
yeah,
Ben never.
you didn't play enough.
Tristan
Yeah.
Tristan got the first one.
Tristan The very first one?
Yeah,
I
because
thought-
because of
did
the
he?
No,
I thought
no.
mine was the first
Kevin
one.
was the
Oh
first
yeah,
one.
Kevin was the first one. Connor, and that was actually for something he said out of
And
the
then
game.
I had it.
Yeah, he said it like in
Angel
the
was
group
like the
chat.
last one to get
Yeah,
on.
because I just wanted
Yeah.
to ease you guys into the concept, which I was like, oh, here's a perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
So I gave it to Connor, and then Tristan earned one. So Tristan earned one because they met Tristan, and he's got this necklace of scalps, and he goes, "Oh, that's hilarious. Who's that one? Oh, this guy said something bad about my mother. Oh, all right. Who's this one? That's my mother."
Yeah. It was the timing of it was so good.
Yeah, oh,
It's so
God.
funny.
Morbid humor.
So he earned one, and then Connor had three at this, or Connor had two at this point. He earned a third one, like either that
Eventually.
day.
He had
or-
three. I had three at one
Yeah.
point.
Ryan pulls out the one that was strength, and he goes, "I got this." He sits down, and strength basically just means you get you unleash like unspeakable power, and
Not
being
bare
that,
fists.
yeah, and being that he's a monk, it was already going to be doubled. So, what's double infinity? Al reaches back, and you just see like this green glow in his fist, and then like maybe monk dots, and they couldn't tell, or just like a sun emblem on his forehead. And he punches, and he basically just one punch man the entire Phantom Army. And there's like the black clouds are gone, the ocean calms down,
Yeah.
the like whatever is left of the armor just kind of crumbles to the ground,
I killed an army with my bare fist.
and they're like, "Oh,
It's like the only thing
Sick.
that happened is we had come up, or Nigel had come up with the plan, and then we sailed up. Claudio and Tad,
Tad was doing the perimeter in the water,
yeah,
and jumping up, and
had
slashing.
jumped out. Claudio, since he had the fastest speed, jumped out and got to take out like 2 or 3 of them
Ben
immediately.
was building an ice bridge for the rest of the crew.
Yeah,
I
to-
had
to-
Rocco loaded in
to
a
unload.
catapult to
yeah.
launch him into battle.
And I said, screw it, we're punching.
Yeah,
And it just happened to come to Alphonse's turn, and he's like, "All right."
I just feel Ryan tap me on the shoulder. I'm like, yeah, and he just hands me his little dude. And I'm like, oh, all right, you got it.
All your planning can go elsewhere. I need results. Big energy, big results.
So,
Welcome to Ryan's motivational speech. Purpose-driven results.
welcome to my TED Talk. This here is strength.
I get things done around here.
So those all like just disintegrate, and like they're left collecting pieces of armor. And Connor goes, or Nigel says, "Hey, I want some of that." And he's like, "Okay." And, I'm like, "All right, he wants to make weapons out of it. That's fine." He goes over and he goes like, "I also want to try something." Pulls out his evil knife, and he
Evil
like
knife?
runs it alongside the armor, and you just
I
hear
think he
like
tapped it, right?
Oh, he tapped it, and you just
Or
hear like this
something.
like humming, like if you use a tuning fork, that
Yeah.
noise,
Yeah.
but just loud.
Yeah.
And it goes, just like it resonates across over the horizon, and then you just hear a roar. And they're like, "You gotta be freaking kidding me!" You see this giant red dragon
Yeah.
fly across, land in the water.
Good
Doesn't
times.
even like sink, just
Good
lands in the
times.
water. Leans down and looks right at Connor, or right at Nigel. And actually, and they come to find out he's not looking at Nigel; he's looking at the knife.
Right.
So quick check again, right? On Nigel
no.
mental health. He already hates dragons. He doesn't trust it.
Racist.
He hates magic and doesn't trust it.
Also semi-racist.
He just wants to go home at this point. Like for the first time in his life, he doesn't want to get into another fight. And a magical dragon out of the sky shows up because magical things that just happen.
Poor Nigel.
Not to mention a dragon we'd never seen before.
So Nigel, just fed up with it, throws the knife at the dragon, which they find out is Valu, the king of the dragons. He blasts it, and it explodes, but then it opens a wormhole in the sky. And so Valu looks into it. They're just like, what? Valu's just staring at it. Wings come out. He flaps up, goes right into the portal. You see 4 more dragons come over the horizon.
You know,
Yeah,
your
good
average
old
day.
news.
You see Nature rise up out of the water, go up into the wormhole, and then you see the other 2 guardian dragons fly out. And then you
Feroz
see,
and Dinral.
Yeah. Then you see one more that nobody's seen this before. It's
Right.
just this dragon covered in energy with like torn up, tattered wings, just and massive, fly up into the portal.
I wasn't afraid. I
They're
was
like,
ready to punch.
Okay, we need to get out of here. But then they feel the ship rising out of the water, and then the portal going down and enveloping them. Next thing you know, they're floating in space.
Yeah.
But the thing about the space in this is they can breathe. And,
That's right.
I need to talk. You can talk about your vision you had.
Oh, heck.
yeah.
When was that?
That
We were
was-
just sailing.
Yeah, you guys were just
You were
sailing.
sailing.
So
yeah.
one of those blessings that I had acquired was
Spirit.
spirit. Thank you. And Claudio wanted to know what the shard that he had gotten was, and so the way it happened is he was just sitting on the very front of the ship like he normally does, and he like drifted off to sleep for a little bit, and then had a vision where he was just like in between all the realms, and saw everything,
Yeah.
including but not limited to other places that are not in the Zelda universe anywhere. But we'll get to that.
With maps that I will provide.
Yes, and then his grandpa shows up, and is all like, "Hey, you need to find the rest of the shards." And he goes, "Okay, I guess I'll do that."
Yeah.
And his grandpa's like, "Cool beans." See, catch you on the flip side, home slice.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up with the shard next to him, and he's like, "Oh, that wasn't there before. That was in my poncho. That was real then."
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this might also be a good time to just touch with the blessings I had ended up with.
Oh yes.
I was very fortunate throughout this campaign and ended up with 3 different usable blessings
Right.
that
You
could
really hung on to them.
that could be stacked.
Like a hoarder.
And the reason I hung on to them is because what I was told that they do. So I'm going to just go in order here. So first I ended up with the pink one, which I called Kevin. What it does, it was a destiny blessing, where it would alter destiny, how things were going to end up, or how things had ended up. Something along those lines. So
within like a specific span.
Right.
Because that was basically just to alter the events of what was happening currently.
Right. So yeah.
like, say someone died, and like within a certain amount of turns in combat, you could use it. And be like, okay, I'm gonna redo this.
Yeah.
Or like it's been a few days and like this blew up. I need to go and fix this.
Yeah. So not exactly time travel, but could alter what was happening for a better result.
Yep.
Then I end up with, I think the next one I called the Chaos Emerald,
Yeah.
aka Timmy,
Oh,
Which was
which was chaos. Where if I used it, something chaotic would happen
Chaos
with
Fury.
no bounds. Meaning it could be as chaotic as like just the combat encounter gets crazy that we're in, or chaotic to the level of like the world is changing around us and we don't know what's happening, like just chaos. And then the third one, which I don't remember what the name I gave
was Time.
was Time.
Yeah.
It was Time.
You named it. I actually don't remember what you named it.
I don't know if
Yeah.
we had time.
I had that one the least amount of time. But
Got
anyway,
him.
so I have all 3 of those as this is happening. And essentially what we come to find out is that I could stack Destiny and Time to do literal time travel and change events.
Yeah.
Or I could stack all 3 of them
That scares
to
me.
time travel into a completely different reality
Really
beyond my
scary.
control because it would be chaos.
Basically, actually, if you used all 3, I had rolled outcome. I had written down outcomes for rolling certain things. So he's got those on him, and he's like, the entire time we were playing these last few sessions, Connor's just holding them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just holding on to it like a little old lady.
Because
So funny.
I was so curious. Like, if Nigel, here's the thing: we have to remove like what we know we have versus what the character knows we have. Because
Yeah.
if Nigel was
Right.
aware of those, he would have used them right then. But I was trying to hold back and be like, no, I want to see where this goes, and I want to wait until I feel like I'm gonna die if I don't use these, and then I'll use them.
Yep.
So they get into space, and that's when Angel uses
that's right.
life.
Was it life?
Yeah, it was the life blessing.
Yep.
And
I had no idea what it did.
So
I named
basically-
it Carmen.
yeah.
Where in
Life,
the world is Carmen Sandiego?
They're floating in what they can't tell what it is, but it's just like a bunch of space with a bunch of like these dark floating like land masses, and they see the dragons going to fight this army of
It
those.
was just one dragon, wasn't it?
No, it was there was one dragon out there
Yeah.
already in that space, and then the other 5 were there fighting it. And so it was this one large dragon, and the other 5 that had flown in the portal, and then an army of what looked to be like just alien beings behind it. And they're like, And so Angel goes, "Hey, Kyle." He hands me his little life guy.
He gave it to me, and the only thing he told me it did was like, use this when you're most desperate.
Yep.
And I was like, okay,
So
that's now.
basically, that had 2 uses. So that would have been like you would have like come back with like extra HP, basically,
Makes sense.
or
Or what it did.
yeah, or what it did,
Got
which
it.
was this little flying thing shows up on this little board floating through space, zooms over, and a portal opens up behind it, and the ship goes through it. And so everyone's just kind of like, huh? And so they show up on the boat is floating in the ocean on a planet now, and this giant airship pops up behind them, and from it comes the guy who had rescued them, and he goes, "Hey, you can call me Meta Knight."
You know, Meta Knight.
And
Welcome to the multiverse.
yeah, and it basically is just like he calls down his assistant, which is just like the UFO power up, but with a more humanoid form. And it's just like, "Hi, I'm Kira. Well, I'll answer whatever questions I can help."
We did not trust you guys.
Yeah,
they didn't trust them.
They didn't trust them because they're like, "Ooh," and then they're like, "Why'd you save us?" And Meta Knight's like, "Well, you looked like you needed someone to help you."
I
Nigel,
almost stabbed
you
Meta
almost
Knight, which
stabbed
would
Meta
not have
Knight.
gone well.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now, the only reason Claudio didn't stab one of them is because the Ring of Fire didn't show up.
The Ring of Fire. Johnny Cash style.
And as Claudio understood, is
Ring of Fire
that
means-
showed up whenever he was in combat.
Yeah.
And since it didn't show up, he was like, okay, I'll still be wary, though.
Yeah. So, Meta Knight, Nigel would like pull out a sword and Meta Knight would warp away, and he's like, "Can you just listen to me for a second?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
And then
we're on the brink of war
That behavior continued
for quite
Yeah,
a while.
because he says, "Look, okay, this sounds like some magic stuff, and I'm not really good with magic, but I know a guy."
We were all fish out of water.
Yeah. Kira pulls up a map. Claudio recognizes a lot of stuff, and he goes like, "Hey, that's not right." And but what it really is they just don't know what's mapped out.
Yeah.
But Claudio and Nigel are hearing they're keeping things from us. So he's like, "Okay, well here, I'll just take you here. We'll drop you off." So they drop him off in front of this floating island, and it's like this little wizard's house. And
Oh yeah, I
Nigel-
forgot.
Nigel parks the boat. Like they use magic to like land the boat.
That's right, because Nigel could make the ice dock that Sven could make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Cazador's like using wind to kind of steer the boat.
Yeah.
And they pull up. Nigel's just like, "Okay, Al, Claudio, Ray, with me."
Right. Hold on.
No, I told all them to stay with the boat.
You took one of them with you.
We decided to go.
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah,
did
it was.
the first time.
I just took off on my own.
Yeah.
Told them to
Yeah.
stay with the boat. They decided, nah, we'll kind of
Yeah.
come along.
He goes in.
But really quick, Sven and Bjorn and Simon, I think, left.
That's right.
No,
I'm
and
sorry.
Tad, they're on.
And Tad?
No, they're on. Yeah, it's Simon and Bjorn.
Simon
Went
and Bjorn
home
left.
right after.
Oh, wait, never mind. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of because some of us
You-
went on to Meta Knight's ship at one point.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
right.
But that
Oh,
was
yeah.
was
But no,
separate.
Simon, Bjorn, and Sven went home
Yeah,
before.
right
the
after the Phantom battle.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone was cooling down, everyone was collecting metal.
Yeah.
Sven said, "Hey, I'm going to stay with them for a little bit and learn about their people and just kind of help out." Danny and Rocco were like, "We're going to stay for now." Seems like he's still got some stuff going on. Then they went to space.
Yeah.
So you guys land the boat. Just Connor goes up, and you walk into the
I kicked down the door.
yeah you walk up the path to
That
the
was
and
bad.
point a gun
kick
at the
down,
wizard.
and you point a gun at the poor
Yeah.
wizard man just sitting there.
So here's Nigel. He's kicked down the front door. He's pointing a gun at this wizard. He's fed up with life. He's so confused.
Poor man.
Demanding answers.
Really, yeah.
Me as the player, I just want to figure out what's happening, but I have to play it through Nigel, who is just
Insane.
on a full-on insane rage at this point. Just wants to go home. Doesn't know what's happening. Doesn't understand space. And so he's pointing a gun at this wizard, saying, "Tell me where I am."
The wizard turns and he's reading a book and he goes, "Hi, I'm Magalore. Nice to meet you. Now can you put the gun down and ask me what you wanted?" And he goes, "I need answers." So he blasts him in the chest. Like Magalore blasts Nigel in the chest. Nigel flies out off the cliff, and he gets up and he's just like, because I think did you actually shoot him?
I
No.
was pointing the gun at him, and I said, "Tell me."
Oh,
like,
and you
I
made some
want
swords
answers.
float. Like you did something that was like more threatening.
Oh yeah. So I did the battle mind thing where I have all the weapons floating around me pointed at him.
Yeah, and Magalore just goes, "Oh, okay," and just puts the book down and just like blasts it. His house blows up. Magalore floats up.
Oopsies.
And Magalore walks out, and he goes, "How hard is it
He made an uh-oh.
to just ask nicely for information?"
That's not Nigel. He's never asking.
And then
then
battle ensues.
Yeah, then combat ensues, which is because Claudio.
Is that when I almost died?
Yeah,
Yes.
Claudio, Alphonse.
I was like at free health.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Claudio, Alphonse, and Ray
Yeah.
show up, and they're like, "We're here to help." And it's just like, "This guy blasted me. Let's smoke him out and get answers." And then they're just like, "Okay."
All of a
So
sudden, all right, Captain, let's go.
they do some pretty good damage on him, but then he's just like, "You freaking kidding me? And like these these dark purple magic blasts blast out, hit everybody. Well, actually, they hit almost everybody. Alphonse takes the worst of it. He gets cut down to like 3 health.
This guy over here almost killed me.
Huge,
because of his rude manner.
Huge damage.
Almost died.
So then,
You jerk. It's a jerk move. Alphonse. I'm Alphonse. You're Nigel. I'm so flustered by the fact I almost died.
right. And then Magalore transforms into a bigger version of himself, which is just like a super magic being. And he goes like, "You are the worst, rudest guest I've ever had." And he's about to blast him,
about to kill me.
That misses. But Alphonse casts prayer.
That's right.
Like a good monk, like a good boy. Like cast some prayer.
This big light beam shoots out from somewhere in space, and then this giant phoenix-like being appears, and it's Eldon, the light spirit, and he is like an angelic being in this version. And he's like, "Hey, I understand things are kind of heated right now, guys, but let's calm down." And like his wings fly out, and this golden light showers down, and these feathers fly out, and everyone's just like healed up, and they feel calmer. Magalore just kind of like begrudgingly sits down, and his house goes back to normal, like because he magics his house back, and he like walks inside, locks the door, and a bunch of magic chains appear around it, and he goes, "I'm not coming out."
It's so funny.
And Eldon says, like, I've pacified the situation, but, like, you guys need to understand that you're here for a bigger purpose. Nigel's upset because he doesn't trust anything, and now that he's seen that this magic being can calm down a situation, he's like, well, where were you when I was a kid? So he's understandably upset.
Yeah.
Add a god complex to Nigel's mental health issues.
There we go.
So,
Wow.
Eldon yeets out of there. He's like, okay, I'm going to leave you guys to your journey,
out of
but,
there.
try not to shoot people you want information from. And he's just like, I love you guys, and out into space. And
Sharing is
then,
caring.
Yeah, and then
Space
Alphonse
Jesus.
is like, oh, I'm really glad I fixed my faith. And then,
Yeah.
Imagine if he didn't. A holy hand grenade would have showed up.
and then it's just like, you know what?
No.
Yeah.
Don't tip me.
They're just like, you know what? I want to try and go home. And Nigel, Cazador, can you guys open a portal or something? Like the two magicist people that are there. Sorry, no, Matthias, Cazador, can you guys open a portal? And they're like, okay, we'll try. So they open a portal, and the portal turns into like this like dark matter looking like gravity black hole. This dude just comes out, makes this magic table, sits down, and there's this other dude in a suit with like purple skin standing there, and he's just like, "How's it going, baby?" They're like, "Oh,
He's got sunglasses on,
Yeah.
big chin,
Yeah, he's got
really big
yeah.
smile.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
this crooked smile, black teeth, white flowing hair, and he's
Charming guy,
like,
really.
yeah, but a cloak that's made out of like stars,
Freaky.
and he's just like,
Freaky deaky.
"Let's make a deal." Like, no.
Yeah, Nightmare showed up.
Yeah, Nightmare. He's like the other side of like there's Eldon, and then there's like Lanayru and the four giants, and on the other side there's Nightmare, there's Majora, there's Bellum, stuff like that.
Basically, the concept of what the Exilium are.
Yeah, there's the Eustus and then the Exilium, which are just the good and bad.
Yeah.
And he's sitting at the table and it's like, look, I know you guys are in a predicament. And he's like, yeah, I know you want to go home, but what if I gave you something a little bit better than a ticket home? What if I gave you a job? Like, and Nigel's like, huh?
That's right. He called Nigel up there, and
Yeah.
like the two just spoke.
Just pow out. Everyone's
for a
sitting
bit.
on the ship just like, can you hear this? And like, kind of.
Yeah.
So Nigel kind of at this point he's asking Nightmare for answers, but he had calmed down after the encounter with Eldon.
Yeah.
So he's more smooth talking, kind of like how did we end up here?
Yeah,
Like what's
it's
going on?
it's pirate to businessman. It's like there's parlay happening.
Pirate
And I
to
remember
businessman.
Nightmare. So here's
Okay.
basically so Nigel doesn't know what Nightmare is, and
Right.
he's just trying to talk to Nightmare, try to get some answers. Nightmare hits on kind of how they were marked by Tristan
Yeah.
and all that stuff was going on. So now Nigel understands that concept.
Yeah, and Nightmare says, hey, we've had other people like this.
Right.
Do you want a job? And he's like, what do you mean? He goes like, hey, you can go home whenever you want, but there's more of these guys out here. I don't like them. I'm sure your bird friend doesn't like them either.
My bird friend.
I'll give you some power if you guys just go hunt these dudes down for me. And then Connor just kind of like slides those two blessings over to me.
Yeah, so what was going through my mind, while Nigel is more relaxed about the situation and gets it, what's going in my mind is we're talking to an Exilium, and I'm just convinced, because I'm thinking Majora, I'm like, I don't trust this thing, we're gonna die, I need to get out of here. Like,
Good instinct.
this
too.
was my crisis moment where I'm like, now's the time for time travel.
This is Dr. Phil moment.
Oh, man.
And the best part is we had been joking as soon as Connor got Kevin, we had been joking, and you wake up on Koholit.
Yeah. Just
The,
like
the
constantly.
the first narration in the campaign was, so you wake up on Koholit Island.
Yeah, that was the very first thing that Kyle, as Daddy DM, had said to us, and we had
Memories.
joked for like about half the campaign, like, yeah, something goes wrong, you wake up on Koholit.
It got to the point where like that became a reality of like, I think we need to do this, guys.
Yeah.
So Connor just kind of slides those over to me like, all right. So I say Nightmare is just like, I'll let you think on that. Goes back into the magic portal. It disappears. Everyone's just kind of standing there. Flash of white. You wake up on Koholit. Because he only used 2. He gave me time and destiny. He did not give me chaos, which is a good thing, which we will save for the next episode. But
Talk about the possibilities.
so
Yikes.
we they wake back up and they're like, okay, but they all have their memories, which was a unique part of that role because of destiny. They're like, oh, we remember everything. So they're like, we gotta hurry up. So everyone, they meet up in the field outside of the village. Sven, Nigel, and Alphonse, who stayed the same, who stayed as Alphonse.
We also
His
Right.
core identity was
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, my core identity is
and because it had to do
solid.
with any Eustace, which exists outside the power of blessings
Yeah.
and the Exilium and stuff.
So the thing that happened is we all dropped back to level 1.
Yeah.
We lost all of our inventory except for any like magical items that we got.
Basically, anything you didn't start with,
Yeah.
you don't have anymore.
Yeah.
Ryan got a boat.
So like Sven's box of crystals is gone, but Alphonse's lens of truth he still had.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, they meet up outside the city because they're like, they kind of know where everyone is. Excuse me. Well, actually, they see Sven walking into the town. And they're like, Sven! And he's like, guys, where are we? What's happening?
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're like, we gotta get to the boat. And so they get down to the docks and they see a portal open and Matthias and Cazador walk out. And they're like, guys, what happened? They're like, I don't know. We don't know what happened. So then they're like, we gotta go. Here, come to this portal. Let's get the boat.
Yeah.
So
So
they
we basically sped run
Yeah.
the campaign
It
at
was
that
funny,
point.
but like, one
And
of
it
my
was all set to
It's a good speed run. Oh no.
That's right, it was.
He's not
frantically
joking.
reassembling the crew as fast as possible, knowing we
so
need to
funny.
avoid Tristan.
That's
Doodly,
right.
doodly, doodly,
That was the
doodly,
other
doodly,
part, they're
doodly,
like,
doodly.
whatever we do, we have to get over here before Tristan shows up in Lanayru.
Yeah, we just
And that was, like,
cannot.
Take that, truth.
And I think Tristan showing up was like a good month or 2 into the journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're like,
We were
okay,
way ahead.
They finished everything in like what, 2 days? So,
Yeah, we killed Cold Stare in 2 days.
yeah. So
It's insane.
they go and
Or less,
um,
actually. Less.
48-hour
Less.
mysteries.
Definitely
it was
less,
like-
what it
actually,
is.
because we teleported everywhere instead of sailing.
It was like 30
No,
hours.
we went to Zhao's again before we went to Cold Stare, but not to get the Dominion Rod this time,
Yeah, but to get Danny and Rocco,
and to bury the Dominion
That's right,
Rod.
and
yeah.
to keep it down
Yeah,
there.
we left it
So
there.
because they're like, well, let's take care of Cold Stare first. So Sven didn't need the golem this time because they had everybody. So they
Yeah.
actually went and got everybody. But then Nigel said, hey, if I know we've been through a lot, but if you guys don't want to do this, you don't have to. So Simon and Bjorn were like, okay, we're gonna go home. The Phantom fight was a lot for us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay. Pretty much everyone else stayed on though. My favorite though was when they went to go get Tad. And Ben wasn't here for that.
No.
But Ben played Tad a little bit for one of the sessions.
Ben was there for that.
Oh yeah, Ben was there
Wait,
for that.
which one are we talking about?
We
This
were
is-
at,
Was it when me and Connor were house sitting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
That's when Ben
So
showed
Ben
up.
showed up, and Ben's like, "Yeah, I'll play as Tad for a little bit." So Ben's Tad, and they show up, and they show up to the docks, and they're like, "Hey, Lorem, do you?" And then like Tad shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, it's cool. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go hang out with these
Lorem
pirates."
didn't remember anything.
And Lorem, yeah, because Lorem wasn't part of the crew, and he wasn't there, so he doesn't know. Lorem just kind of looks at the boat, looks at everybody, and he goes, "Whatever." Just gets back to work because it was basically the conversation he would have had to have, but like no work on Lorem's part.
Yeah.
So Tad hops in the boat, and they go and get everybody else with little to no difficulty, and they go straight to Dragon. Oh, hi. They go straight to Stoneheart Island, and they go down to the Dominion Rod. Matthias is like, okay, I still need the power because we don't have it anymore. So
That's
he
right.
siphons some off from the rod without taking it.
Yeah. Or even
Um,
touching it.
Yeah, so he just kind of like reaches in with magic and gets like what he needs, and
Yeah.
he goes, "This is plenty."
Yep.
And so
Then as we leave, Sven and I think Nigel as well are just like creating ice behind them and just burying the
they're
entire
like filling
temple.
in the thing, and then I
Yeah.
think like Cazador like crumbles it in on itself.
Insurance
Or
purposes.
no, like Rocco like pounds the ground and
Yeah.
just caves in the entrance.
Yeah. So there's no way to get in there.
Oh, and then Rocco was kind of sad the whole time because his little baby wasn't
Pebble.
born yet.
Yeah.
So
The sacrifice had to be made.
they go straight
What did
to
it
Cold
cost?
Stair. Yeah, I remember they go
At
straight.
what cost?
They run straight to Cold Stair, beat him in like 2 full turn cycles.
3.
Three full turn cycles.
It's worth noting our crew was like 3 times the size it was when we first
Oh,
fought
yeah.
Cold Stair.
You know.
So we just showed up
And-
overpowered.
The funny thing is, like, everyone who joined you was at a higher level. So like basically they're at the level that they would have started at, which is like a couple months before you all met them.
And we were still at 1, or had
you
Eldon
were-
showed up yet?
He
You were
showed
at
up
one.
after Cold Stair.
You
He
guys,
showed up
so
after,
you guys
okay.
beat Cold Stair. Eldon shows up and he goes, "Okay, you guys have gotten another chance."
Yeah.
Nigel, I understand you're upset with me, but I want you to know that even though I couldn't directly intervene, I love you, and like.
And then he reset all our levels back
Yeah, and
to
then he put you guys back to normal, and he goes
7?
like, whatever decision you guys make.
We were
this
at
time,
7.
7.
Yeah, you guys
Level
were at 7. You guys
Can you believe it? We only got to level 7.
Lucky 7,
in
baby.
12 sessions.
Yeah. The cap for D&D is 20. Level 20.
Oh, is there? I never knew
Yeah.
that.
It is. It's
So
Wow.
7, we actually got decently high up there.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
The actual campaign I played, we got to level 12 before I quit. So I've been up there, but
They
Doesn't
stayed-
it?
I never felt more powerful.
They stayed at 12.
Did they?
That's how they ended the campaign. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Um,
They peaked.
Oh, maybe they hit 13.
Bunch of losers.
Ooh, shade.
So
Sorry, Ben.
they
Yeah, Ben.
they get back in the. Or no, they killed Cold Stair and we ended it there, and then we picked
Did
up.
we?
Well, we did. Well,
Yeah.
epilogue-ish.
Well, so
Well, we left it off.
we ended
yeah.
that session because that took a while.
Yeah, that's right.
That was like
that's right.
that was like a whole we spent 9 hours playing the game that day. Over
Because
the
we were
course of
house
sessions,
sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
just
we
had
also-
a whole bunch of time.
We did 11 sessions in one
Yeah.
by speed running through the entire thing.
So you guys did 22 sessions.
Somebody say speedrun?
Oh. Doodly, 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 doodly.
After that, Nigel told everyone like, "Hey, we've pretty much solved everything, but everything that everyone needed to do now was just like their own stuff." And they said, "You can stay with me, or you can go home. Cazador and Matthias can take you wherever you need to go, but just know that if you ever need us, we're there, and vice versa."
Yep.
Um,
So a lot of people left. Claudio snuck off of the boat.
yeah, like after a while.
Yeah, he stayed with
stuck
them
a while.
for a bit, and then he snuck off the boat when they so Claudio had the ability to warp short distances. So when they sailed near Termina,
Yeah.
he just warped off.
And that was to go and figure out more about who he was as a hero.
Yeah,
and
he
figure
wanted
out
to train more.
why his powers work.
Yeah, because he knew the stuff he could do. He just didn't exactly know why. He's kind of in the same boat as Nigel in that case.
And Nigel's case was weird, which I'll let you continue this, but he realized oh, Crenia doesn't know I'm alive now. I need to rectify that.
Yeah.
But also, Zachariah's still alive.
Oh, yeah, that's
true.
right.
So-
He would have been alive.
Didn't want to go
Yeah.
home until you found him again.
Yeah, so basically Nigel's situation, what happened before the time traveling incident is he knew what he wanted. He wanted to go back with Crimea, basically start life over. But he thought all his loose ends would be tied up after the Phantom battle, but boy was he wrong. So they time travel back. So he's left with his crew is now Fonzie stayed,
I did
Claudio
stay.
stayed until he teleported away, Raymond stayed, Tad stayed.
We were by your side for the next
I
journey.
think
Everyone-
Danny and Rocco went back.
Danny
Dan-
went back to Zhao's. Rocco actually went to...
That's right. He went
He
to
went to
Snowhead.
Snowhead.
He
Rocco
went
went
to-
to Snowhead because
yeah.
then little Jerry was born. And,
That's right. He named him
Oh,
Jerry.
God,
And,
Jerry.
and the tribe helped raise him.
Yes, because he didn't want him raised on a boat.
Sven's going back and forth between Zhao's hanging out with Simon and back in his own home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Nuki
Yeah, so the crew is smaller, but what Nigel did, as well as getting the crew back together for that battle for Cold Stair, he also wrote a letter to Crimea, basically explaining that he's alive, where he's been, what's been going on, and that he wants to come home, but he's being hunted, and it's not safe for him to come home yet, so he will when he's done handling that.
Yeah.
And because he didn't want to bring Zechariah back to
Yeah, he didn't
Crimea.
want to leader of the Crimea. Which,
Right.
yeah. And then...
So the deal not deal, but the plan he makes with Fonzie is Fonzie wants to go around I think it was like
It's almost like
Yeah.
Oh,
a
you
real
wanted
life missionary, if
yeah,
you will.
You wanted to help other
offshoots
go back to their roots.
find the crazy cults and decult them.
eradicate
Yeah,
them.
just like
Yeah.
show them like, hey, you know, this is
Show them the way.
Yeah.
and
Missionary work.
Nigel is down for adventure. Also wants to be looking around the world to find Zechariah.
We have common interests that way.
Raymond
so.
and Nigel are now buddies, so Raymond's along for the ride.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that's like what's about to happen.
We're about
and
to
where
take
we're-
off as a team.
So I think all the while Cazador and Matthias are like pooling their resources and researching like the Exilium and any mention of them in the texts.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that was basically like you guys left it off at there. I think you did eventually go back to Crimea, and I think now she's sailing with you guys.
No, I hadn't done
we had
that
not
yet.
done
So-
that yet.
No.
So the,
We
the
left
ep-
off right
yeah.
there.
The epilogue ended with he didn't want to go home until he found Zechariah and either killed him or stopped him.
Yeah, and that's
Yep.
where we ended it
Yeah.
for now, at least.
So,
For now.
yeah, Kyle kind of has the freedom as DM, which I don't know if you'll ask our opinions for, or if you just want to run with it. But Kyle has that freedom now with those directions.
If it has to do with your character, I will ask.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just going to tell you like, yeah, and then Nigel like retired.
Yeah.
Well, no.
So Connor, make a new character.
I'm,
Right,
talking,
yeah.
I'm talking more about like
Yeah.
Kyle could decide when and how I counter Zechariah, whether or not I
Oh.
do before we start again.
Right.
It's also,
It'd
how's
be-
Crimea going to react to the letter? You have
Oh,
control
yeah,
over
that's
that.
right. It'd be cool to like
Yeah.
next time we meet up for this campaign to be like, all right, and like you, how you went along, like in you sort of like took our orders basically,
Right.
like a waiter.
Oh,
You're like, all right,
where have you been?
like where do you want to go?
Where they left off.
yeah.
Where do you want
And
to
you
go?
asked all of us like, what do you guys want to do while we take a break, basically. So it'd be cool if you did the same thing. Like, all right, what did you do while we took a break?
Yeah.
And
How
sort
did
of
you
went
go about it?
I
Yeah.
thought about so
One by one.
basically I might roll just like how much time has passed,
Sure.
and then be like, yo, wait, what happened this time?
Ooh, rolling
That'd
for
be
it.
fun, yeah.
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 Could go different direct. All of a sudden, Alphonse has like no arms.
Oh my god.
So there will be a
Escalated.
sequel at some
Yikes.
point. We're kind of in epilogue mode right now. And
Yeah.
gonna do
Well, 'cause
Q&A coming
It'll
up
come
next.
back
Yeah.
one day.
we're gonna make this a two-parter. So because we realized this went really long. So in the next
It's late,
episode, we'll
and I'm
actually,
tired.
Hi, tired. I'm Alphonse.
in part two, we'll. I just got.
Did you pick up on what I'm laying down? Okay.
In the next episode, we'll go over. We'll do the questions.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys have to ask, and then I'll talk more about like what's gonna happen going forward with that. I think the next thing we were gonna do, like campaign wise, was Angel has a Monster Hunter one he wants to run.
Yep.
And
And
then,
I am terrified to start it.
and then after that, we'll figure out what happens from there because all the other campaigns I have planned, spoiler alert, can be connected.
Ooh.
So,
I was gonna say
Spoiler
I have
City.
2 ideas that I've been formulating that would also be an option.
which are
too,
open to
which-
the floor, yes.
Yeah.
The court will
one
hear
of, one
you.
of them is I've been looking into like what actual
Oh,
D&D
like-
rules
like
are and
5e.
how like 5e D&D works and stuff. So
We
I've
should
been
play 4th edition.
I see.
It's
Here's
so
the
hard to
thing.
come by.
I don't
Oh,
even know the
God.
differences just because I just looked at what's most recent.
Don't
and looked
ask
like
me.
5e, so I'm like, okay, I'll just figure it out.
They
Figure
are
this out.
all so different.
4th
Right.
edition is the best.
Is it really? I'm a
Yes.
total rookie.
Yes,
Don't
it is.
look at me. So I don't know.
Don't
I feel
look
like
into
that's
it.
not true.
It is.
So-
No, it is.
The 3.5 snobs, I feel like, are just
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
was gonna say there's
You know a
shaking
little
their
bit.
fist at
You know a
me.
little
Yeah.
bit then.
So the general consensus is that people hate 4 because
Okay.
4 is so
Okay.
different from every edition.
gotcha.
I
I
want to
think
play it
5.
so bad.
5 is like the most streamlined one.
Sure.
Yeah, 5's like rookie friendly.
3.5 is the one that
And that's what we need
purists
for
are
me.
into, because it's got like what 1 and 2 had, and then just added more cool stuff on top of that.
Okay, we're kind of getting off track.
This won't take long.
Yeah, we derailed.
3.5
This
though.
does
is
not
just,
need to be in the
no, it's
podcast.
fine. 3.5 is just
Too late
hard.
now, sucker.
Gotcha.
Like you can lose your character's first session, no problem.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and Ben will tell you the same thing.
Oh no.
Yeah,
But-
but anyway,
Conversation of
my
Ben.
point with bringing that up, I actually had a point where this ties in, is like to help, like people listening understand how this tabletop worked, kind of compared to like a traditional D&D game, is like in
It's
my
on
head I've
crack
been comparing
cocaine.
it like if traditional D&D ranges everything from like think of Skyrim to Dark Souls, like in terms of difficulty and complexity and like rules of how things work and stuff.
Yeah.
Ours felt more like Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah,
Like
it was like Hyrule Warriors with a game of Yahtzee in there.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a toddler in
It
your
felt
game.
really nice
so.
though.
like, so you have like the elements of D&D, like the dice rolling, the figuring things out, rolling for intuition, stuff like that. But you're this overpowered, like story-driven thing moving forward. And I literally had Bladestorm, which I think is like there's abilities like that in Hyrule
Oh, yeah.
Warriors. So,
Yeah.
Well, that like I'm just glad you guys had fun with it.
Yep.
Like out of everything, like, even if like snobs who listen to this are like, ooh.
Well, if Ben is that offended, then
No, Ben
too
is
bad.
into it. Ben just never had the time to come and hang out.
Yeah.
I know
That's-
some D&D snobs get really tilted over time travel being included. So
They do.
Oh,
They
whatever.
really do. They do.
I just don't care.
Well, I'm very excited for you guys to start Monster Hunter. It's going to be such a change from
It's gonna be
what
super
we've
good.
done.
Yeah.
I'll also
It'll be
still
difficult.
Be a toddler, but
You guys
be patient with me.
can die
Oh god.
Sort
oh,
of.
no.
under very special circumstances. You can die.
I'm just excited for my character who, like, is every session just gonna be like,
Oh. I should have known. I should have known where that was
the
going.
vibes are immaculate, boys.
Get out of there.
Oh,
No.
good. All right. Well,
I still have to create a character for yours. I haven't even started anything.
You're
so
fine. I actually added another race, so I
Okay.
need to give you guys the updated
I'll have to spend a whole day doing that with
Yeah.
you, and you'll have to hold my hand like the kindergartner
Don't
I
worry,
am.
that's what session 0's for.
Okay. Great.
all right. Well, thank you guys for coming on to the podcast, and we'll see you in the next one for some questions.
Mucho
and maybe some
gracias.
answers.
Oh no!
Can't
quick
wait
little,
for part 2.
Quick
Yeah.
little outro music for you.
Oh no. The pain never stops.